Chapter 201. Synchronicity of Minds. Master being able to comprehend unity of heaven and man before the age of 20. Ling Xiao was so shocked that he couldn't put into words what he was feeling inside. You should know that in the Interstellar Federation, the youngest person to ever comprehend unity of heaven and man was none other than Wang Hao's father, Wang Tianyi. Originally, Wang Tianyi comprehended unity of heaven and man at the age of 30, which at that time caused a huge storm. Even describing it as a 12-magnitude earthquake would not be an exaggeration. But now Guo Yunzi says that Wang Hao could achieve it by 20. If this were to become reality, it would mean that Wang Tianyi's record was refreshed by 10 years. Did this father and son duo come into the world just to beat everybody down? To comprehend unity of heaven and man by the age of 20? Li Yuniang's expression became extremely grave. He would not forget the goal that his master, Guan Yingzhe, had set for him to defeat Wang Hao. If Wang Hao had not comprehended unity of heaven and man, then as long as his dragon embryo broke out of its seal, there might still be a chance to battle with Wang Hao. But if Wang Hao had comprehended unity of heaven and man, even if his dragon embryo hatched, he would have no hope of winning. Therefore, in the coming days, he must train even more diligently, using the time that Wang Hao spent playing to strengthen himself. At the same time, he didn't believe he couldn't beat an unscrupulous rascal who only knew how to play, by relying on diligence, sweat and effort, right? Wang Hao called out to the system, "System, do you have unity of heaven and man for sale?" "Yes. There are only things you can't afford here, nothing you can't buy," the system replied. "Unity of heaven and man potion, take it and you'll surely comprehend unity of heaven and man, price, 10 billion villain points." Wang Hao rolled his eyes, 10 billion, isn't that a bit too pricey? However, he believed that once those videos of him accompanying the ladies began to sell, he would surely be able to afford the unity of heaven and man potion. "Little fellow, I lost to you in calligraphy," Elder Guo said earnestly, "but it's not that my skills were lacking, rather you created a new style, which doesn't sit well with me. Therefore, I want to continue competing with you. How about we try matching couplets next?" As soon as he finished speaking, the whole place buzzed with discussion. "Do you think Elder Guo can win? It looks pretty dicey, don't underestimate this young man's literacy foundation." "It's true, isn't it? He can write a poem in 3 steps, create his own style of writing, now this couplet matching seems very uncertain." "I'm not so sure, couplet matching tests your response speed, you can't play with it without a huge accumulation of literary knowledge." "That's also true, this guy writes poems all about women, probably the kind of flirtatious person, that's why he can write with such depth. He created his own calligraphy style, hence defeating Elder Guo, but now when it comes to cultural accumulation, I think it's pretty dodgy." "That makes sense, a 17-year-old who only knows how to chase girls, how can he match up to Elder Guo's cultural accumulation?" Wang Hao glanced at Guo Yunzi, "Old guy, you think too highly of yourself. I still need to woo little Yiling at home, I have no time to compete in these useless things with you." No sooner had he spoken than various jeers filled the air. "This kid is scared." "I don't think he's scared, he's chickened out. Matching couplets with Elder Guo, how could he not chicken out?" Off in the distance, Zhao Yiling heard this and puffed up her cheeks in anger, stamping her foot. This jerk really was trying to woo her, so all the sweet nothings he had just said were all fake. "Miss, shall I go teach that jerk a lesson?" the black-clothed woman said with a cold face. "No need, let him be smug for a while. Once he falls into this miss's hands, I'll make sure he's as meek as a cat." Zhao Yiling clenched her fist, which crackled softly. Not far from Zhao Yiling, Ye Qing was drinking alone, watching the scene unfold. He didn't know whether to envy or pity the jade-faced little Filong. To say he was envious, that was certain. How many clothed beasts like that could there be in the world? With just a few lines of poetry, a few words, he had won over a beauty of Zhao Yiling's caliber. But who was Zhao Yiling? The granddaughter of Marshal Zhao Kun, the princess of the Twin Stars, the prized child of the Yao Tian Federation. If one were heartlessly to pluck her affections, they'd be guaranteed a pursuit across the entire universe. "Brother Filong, I wonder if your affection can truly last, beyond mere daily pleasantries, and whether you can handle this young miss." Ye Qing looked up at the moon and downed his drink. At the same time, he was considering the fact that he had endured loneliness tonight, not seeking out fun at the banquet, and if that should have put some distance between him and those beasts from the wolf gang. He hoped that, should Zhao Yiling be dumped, she wouldn't take all her frustrations out on him. To witness the myriad states of life, to sleep with thousands of beauties, Brother Filong's realm is truly beyond my reach, Ye Qing sighed, feeling very dispirited. Ever since he met those beasts from the wolf gang, he felt as though he suddenly became completely worthless. In terms of chasing girls, he couldn't compare to the jade-faced little Filong. In terms of shamelessness, he couldn't compare to that chrysanthemum knight who played both men and women. In terms of disgust, he couldn't compare to the teddy prince who wouldn't even spare the beasts. In terms of eating, drinking, and merrymaking, he was even more unmatched against Wang Hao, the world-class little Y-worm. Not only did that guy know how to have fun, he always discovered something novel and was even making money while at play, an ability Ye Qing admitted he could never learn in a lifetime. Thinking it over, it seemed he was only slightly better than that overlord of the waterfront, but then again, hooking up with 38 minors was also beyond his capability. Alas, there's always someone better, another mountain higher. Ye Qing sighed, now only the alcohol in his cup could soothe his worries. Little guy, if you win against me in a couplet duel, I'll give you an astronomy jade, Guo Yunzi said as he took out a thumb-sized, creamy white jade stone, determined to regain his dignity today. Astronomy jade. As soon as these words were said, the whole room gasped in astonishment. This astronomy jade was a very special and precious stone. Once someone who had comprehended the unity of heaven and man wore the jade stone for over a decade, the stone would be imbued with the aura of the unity of heaven and man, turning it into an astronomical stone. And for those martial artists who hadn't comprehended the unity of heaven and man, wearing the astronomical stone gave them a great chance of achieving it. Unfortunately, astronomical stones were rare and took over a decade to cultivate, making them extremely scarce. Aside from the great nobles who could afford it, ordinary citizens, even the wealthy, couldn't afford them. Astronomy jade. Wang Hao squinted his eyes, immediately recalling information about the astronomy jade. Although understanding the unity of heaven and man with this astronomy jade would take time, it was still not bad, and even if he didn't wear it himself, giving it to Little White would be good. You're really kind. Little White seemed to sense Wang Hao's thoughts and jumped from Li Xian's shoulder to Wang Hao's, affectionately rubbing his fluffy face against Wang Hao's cheek. Wang Hao handed a carrot to Little White, finally settling the little critter down. That Saint Beast decision is really powerful. Wang Hao glanced at Little White, who was happily nibbling on the carrot. Ever since Little White had received the system's infusion, they had established a mental connection. As soon as he thought of the name Little White in his mind, the rabbit could instantly know his thoughts. However, as for this mind-reading ability, Wang Hao found it quite impressive. At least in the future, when fighting alongside Little White, their coordination would be flawless. Chapter 202. Fine, if you want to be tormented, I'll grant your wish. Wang Hao stepped forward, took the astronomical stone from Guo Yunzi's hand, and then handed it to Little White. At this moment, everyone looked as if they had seen a ghost, staring at Little White on Wang Hao's shoulder. This rabbit had just spoken? In their understanding, a demon beast was a demon beast, and even those high-level, high-intelligence demon beasts didn't have records of speaking human language unless they were cosmic saint beasts or divine beasts. But now, a rabbit with only the strength of a martial master was speaking human language. Could this rabbit be some sort of divine beast's descendant? Li Xian and others' hearts skipped a beat, sensing trouble ahead. If someone took an interest in Little White, wouldn't that bring unnecessary trouble? What are you staring at? A bunch of yokels, have you never seen a rogue rabbit? Wang Hao gave everyone a disdainful middle finger. Rogue rabbit? Everyone was instantly puzzled. What kind of divine beast was this? Sensing Wang Hao's thoughts, Little White immediately wagged its long ears, wiggled its little bum, and waved its short furry paws. I am the universal super invincible rogue rabbit, Mommy says I'm very well behaved, just a bit naughty and a bit violent. Seeing this, all the girls in the crowd had hearts twinkling in their eyes, utterly adorable and charming. Not only could it talk, but it could also sing and dance, truly the ideal pet in their minds, especially this song. It was so cheeky, exactly what you'd expect from a rogue rabbit, they all wanted one so badly. Li Xian and others' faces turned dark. Following Wang Hao really did teach Little White bad habits, it was even singing Brother Huang. After singing a few lines, Little White suddenly stopped, feeling the gazes from the group of girls, as if they wanted to gobble him up. Seeing this, Little White got scared and dove straight into Wang Hao's clothes, not daring to come out anymore. This made the group of girls even more excited. They quickly approached and encircled Wang Hao. Hey handsome, how much for your rabbit? Handsome, Name your price, sister promises you'll be satisfied. If handsome feels awkward naming a price, then come over to sister's house, we can talk it over slowly. Wang Hao looked warily at the group of girls. The rabbit is not for sale, and you can forget about tricking this innocent boy back home for the naughty stuff. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge dam emerged in the girls' minds. Now he starts playing innocent? Who was the one flirting like an old hand when reciting risque poetry just now? Li Xian glanced at Yiling Zhao not far away and immediately understood why Wang Hao suddenly started playing innocent. Compared to these vulgar flirts, a stunning beauty like Yiling Zhao was more his type. Cough, cough, kids, it's getting late, and this little guy and I still have a duel of words. After our match, you guys can do whatever you want. Guo Yunzi couldn't stand it anymore and spoke up. Seeing Guo Yunzi speak up, the girls didn't dare to delay any longer and quickly dispersed. Hurry it up, old man, don't waste my time, Wang Hao said impatiently. You little rascal, so disrespectful. Well then, let this old man throw you a tough one to test you, Guo Yunzi huffed and then softly recited, my birthday is coming soon, so here goes, my opening phrase is, blessings as vast as the East Sea, the vast sea, a great elder, longevity and prosperity, clothed and fed well, eating delicious cuisine, ranked among the 3 platforms, enjoying glory and riches, illustrious guests ought to come early, coming is only proper, it's only natural. Everyone present furrowed their brows, deeply contemplating this couplet. Seeing this, Guo Yunzi stroked his beard and smiled, pleased to finally gain back some control. Although he had lost the previous rounds somewhat unfairly, this round was beyond doubt. Old man, this is your tough question. Wang Hao curled his lip and said, my reply is, life as enduring as the South Mountain, the mountain does not age, a reverend elder, with the heart of a beast, not so kind-hearted, quite the tortoise mutt, eventually will die without a burial place, no foundation laid, don't come before that, coming afterwards will be too late. You, Guo Yunzi was furious, jumping with rage this rascal dared to call him a tortoise mutt with no burial place after death. What you? Am I not spot on? Wang Hao glanced at Guo Yunzi, full of disdain. Everyone around twitched, not sure what to say. It was indeed a properly matched couplet, and they felt an urge to applaud. But if they did, what would they say about Guo Yunzi? Could they really say he was a tortoise mutt? Grandpa, are you all right? Duo glared at Wang Hao, then turned to care for Guo Yunzi. Grandpa is fine. Guo Yunzi waved his hand, then came up with the next verse, the white goose's yellow has not yet faded completely, and they don't realize the sky is high and the earth is thick. Wang Hao gave a cold smile, playing this game with him, this old guy was still too green, the turtle shell has already been polished smooth, truly a crafty and cunning old fox. Everyone present looked at Wang Hao with admiration, this guy really dared to say it. The previous verse insulted Guo Yunzi as a turtle hybrid, this verse again insulted Guo Yunzi saying his turtle shell has fallen off. Damn, how could this guy be so wicked? Ling Xiao and others covered their heads with their hands, feeling a headache coming on. To think that the verses could turn out like this with Wang Hao, unbelievable. Guo Yunzi huffed, rice, wheat, and other grains, these hybrids, which one is a gentleman? Without thinking, Wang Hao replied, classics, changes, rites, annals, many scriptures, why bother asking Confucius? Guo Yunzi, 2 monkeys cut wood in the mountains, ask the little monkey how to saw. Wang Hao, a horse stuck in the mud, see how the old beast gets out. Guo Yunzi, cicadas know not snow, ants achieve their goals, when will the villains resign? Wang Hao, ants climb Sephoras, beetles shake trees, fools vainly claim supremacy. Guo Yunzi, filial piety, brotherhood, loyalty, etiquette, integrity, shameless. Wang Hao, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, bastard. Watching the two exchanging barbs, everyone present completely worshipped them. Such a battle of verses was indeed a rare sight in this world. Guo Yunzi's look towards Wang Hao changed, this young man could actually argue with him to this extent, remarkable indeed. It seemed he had to pull out his trump card. Kid, I've got a modern style verse, dare you try it? Guo Yunzi gave Wang Hao a challenging look. Wang Hao curled his lips, bring it on. Guo Yunzi glared at Wang Hao, listen up, I can tower dive and feed. Wang Hao was startled, you play League of Legends too? Guo Yunzi laughed proudly, I always stay at the forefront of fashion. Wang Hao gave Guo Yunzi a look of disdain. Fashion my ass, clearly a disaster. Listen up, I can idle and trash talk teammates. Guo Yunzi's smile disappeared, becoming stern, didn't expect to meet another disaster. Listen up, I can solo phase 5. Wang Hao looked disdainful, I can wait for a 6-minute surrender. I can save enemies with flying kicks. I can block teammates with walls. When I'm passive, people won't see me for 100 years. When I'm active, I carry enemies to glory. I bravely flash to give first blood. I never look back when selling out teammates. Ride the wind. Upon adversarial whines, surrender. Ask how much sorrow one can have. 5 players, 4 trolls, 6-minute surrender. Everyone was completely flabbergasted. Weren't they supposed to be exchanging verses? But how did the style of this old and young pair change so rapidly, turning into a contest of who could be more of a nuisance? Indeed, there are all sorts of birds in a vast forest. Chapter 203. Phew, phew. After who knows how long, an old man and a young one stared at each other, neither willing to concede, yet there was a mutual respect in their eyes. Guo Yunzi pointed at himself and introduced, the old man's nickname is Omen Star, may I ask who you are? Wang Hao proudly lifted his head, this young master is known as Ghost of Sorrow. Guo Yunzi's expression grew solemn, this name he had heard of. It had suddenly emerged recently, a legendary disaster, more notorious than his own reputation that he had built up over more than 3 years. Old man has played 2,000 rounds, screwed up over 1,900 games, proficient in all manners of insulting teammates, betrayed teammates 30,000 times, skillfully mastered the timing of stealing kills, Guo Yunzi said with pride. Wang Hao sneered dismissively, this young master's corpse has lain in every corner of King's Canyon, having mastered over 1,000 ways to feed the enemy to the extreme, and has over 800 excuses for going AFK, what's so great about you? The faces of everyone present turned dark, wasn't it hard enough for them to squeeze in some time to play games every day? It was because of people like these that they ended up losing so badly, their good moods completely ruined. However, wasn't this supposed to be a time for matching couplets, not competing over who's the bigger troll? Wang Hao's eyes shifted as he said with a smile, old man, you've been testing me for so long, isn't it my turn to test you now? Guo Yunzi stretched out his hand, please. Wang Hao's mouth curved slightly, rolled up his sleeves, and from who knows where, pulled out a length of hemp rope. Then, as quick as the wind, he appeared beside Guo Yunzi. Before Guo Yunzi could react, he was already bound. Kid, what the hell are you trying to do? Guo Yunzi was stunned, completely unable to understand what Wang Hao intended to do. This was supposed to be about matching couplets, wasn't it? Why tie him up out of the blue? Nothing much, just here to roast you a bit. Wang Hao then seemingly conjured a bottle of industrial alcohol out of thin air, doused Guo Yunzi with it, and lit a fire to start barbecuing him. The onlookers were gobsmacked, this guy's idea of testing Guo Yunzi was actually to roast him with fire. You little shit, I'm not done with you, Guo Yunzi bellowed, as a terrifying aura burst forth from within him. The flames surrounding him were instantly extinguished, but his clothes were now tattered and torn, his entire appearance ashen and dusty. Wang Hao frowned, rather surprised. He hadn't realized that this old man had actually attained the level of martial emperor. Only because of his old age, his cultivation had clearly regressed, and it was already quite impressive that he could now exhibit the strength of a martial king. Grandpa! Duo cried out anxiously, quickly running to Guo Yunzi's side. At this moment, Guo Yunzi seemed extremely listless, as if he had contracted a severe illness. Grandpa Guo! Zhao Yuling hurried over as well, checking on Guo Yunzi's condition. Someone, quickly take Grandpa Guo to the hospital, Zhao Yuling called out urgently. Yes, miss. The surrounding guards quickly found a stretcher and carried Guo Yunzi away. Look what you've done. Zhao Yuling glared at Wang Hao, clearly furious. I didn't know he was in his twilight years, Wang Hao muttered to himself. Martial artists of such an advanced age would use their true qi to lock in their life force, preventing it from dissipating. Once they entered this mode, it meant they were like ordinary elderly people, without a trace of attack power. And since Guo Yunzi had used up his true qi, it had caused some of his life force to fade away, which aged him several years in an instant. You're driving me crazy. Zhao Yuling stamped her foot and then turned to leave. Hey, where do you think you're going? We haven't properly communicated yet, Wang Hao shouted at Zhao Yuling's receding figure. I'm busy right now, came Zhao Yuling's indignant voice before she disappeared into the night. I might have played it too far this time. Wang Hao sighed. It seemed he was in for another lonely night. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for humiliating a literary giant, you've earned 50 million villain points. How much? Wang Hao was stunned. He hadn't misheard, had he? 50 million points, wasn't that a bit too much? System notification, literary giants, heroes, legends, they're all paragons of virtue, incarnations of righteousness. They're natural enemies of villains. Many villains have fallen at their hands. Now that the host has embarrassed them, the reward is naturally substantial. Wang Hao finally nodded in understanding, so, this was also a way to play. Right, how many villain points would I get if I killed those hero characters? System notification, if the host killed the aforementioned literary giant, you would only get 1 million villain points. Only 1 million? Are you kidding me? Wang Hao was flabbergasted. No mistake, it's 1 million, the system explained. Heroes remain heroes even in death, but to humiliate a hero, to prevent them from being seen as a hero, that's what a true villain should do. Holy shit, you can even say something so demented. Wang Hao was shocked. Not only was he supposed to humiliate them, but he was also meant to strip them of their legacy. This was even crueler than killing the heroes, it left them no way out at all. The system only says demented things, but the host is the one doing them, going even beyond the beastliness of the system retorted. Damn it, you dare talk back. Wang Hao snorted coldly. The system didn't dare say more, hiding in a corner, silently drawing circles. It didn't want to be the focus of its petty host, Wang Hao. Wang Hao scratched his chin, contemplating how he must thoroughly humiliate those hero characters if he encountered them in the future. Right, that cheap old man of his seemed to be a hero as well. If he could meet him in the future. Junior brother, what do we do now? Ling Xiao approached Wang Hao and asked. They had planned on connecting with Zhao Yuling and then using her identity as Zhao Kun's granddaughter to place Little Spider on her and bring along military star. But, judging by the current situation, things were not quite satisfactory. Relax, we won't lose track of little Miss Zhao Yuling, Wang Hao said with a confident smile. After being bombarded with so many immortal lines, if Zhao Yuling could still get away, he would go to the underworld himself, bow to his ancestors and apologize. Are you that confident she can't get away? Xia Weiwei asked skeptically. I've never failed when it comes to dealing with women, Wang Hao said with a grin. Xia Weiwei and Li Xian took 2 steps back, unconcerned. They began to consider from Zhao Yuling's perspective. If they were praised in such a way, with quotes that have been passed down through ages, their hearts would probably bloom with joy too. Of course, they would feel that way only if they didn't know what kind of man Wang Hao was. And right now, Zhao Yuling clearly didn't know that Wang Hao was an unscrupulous scumbag. So, her chances of being deceived were basically assured. Junior brother, have you really never failed at dealing with women? Ling Xiao asked with a bit of squeamishness. Wang Hao cast a glance at Ling Xiao and seeing the frivolous look between his brows, clearly fancying some girl he saw at the party. Speak up, who caught your eye? We're all brothers here, and I'll definitely back you up, Wang Hao slapped Ling Xiao on the shoulder, with an expression that said a good brother should always help. Qian Wanyang and Chen Yao, the 2 junior brothers, also came over, hoping Wang Hao would help them hook up with a girl. Chapter 204. Ling Xiao, big brother, don't tell me you've taken a fancy to Guo Yunzi's granddaughter. Li Xian couldn't help but ask, noticing that during the showdown between Wang Hao and Guo Yunzi, Ling Xiao's eyes were constantly on that little girl named Duo Duo. Ling Xiao's face turned red as he nodded slightly. He found little Duo Duo to be exceptionally well behaved and adorable, just his type. As long as my senior brother likes her, then your junior brother will make sure you have a one-night stand, Wang Hao assured, patting his chest. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei gave Wang Hao a disdainful look. He was indeed a scumbag who toyed with women's emotions. Ling Xiao shook his head. I don't just want to play around with Miss Duo Duo. I want to date her, and if it's suitable, I'll marry her. Ling Xiao, big brother, are you out of your mind? Xia Weiwei exclaimed, looking at Ling Xiao in shock. Don't forget, we are from the Interstellar Federation, and she is from the Yao Tian Federation, it's simply impossible. Ling Xiao, big brother, I advise you to think it over, Li Xian urged repeatedly. If things really work out, and she likes me, then I will definitely take responsibility, Ling Xiao said with a serious face. In the eyes of Li Xian and Xia Weiwei, there were stars. This was what a real, responsible man looked like. Wang Hao cast a glance at Ling Xiao, thinking to himself, this guy is quite decent, I wonder if he counts as any kind of hero, a true gentleman? Would I get villain points for tricking him? Don't worry, senior brother, as your junior, I will definitely support you. Let's go back right now and discuss how we can pursue Miss Duo. Wang Hao and Ling Xiao left with their arms over each other's shoulders. Ling Xiao was utterly moved, although Wang Hao was a bit mixed in his ways. When faced with problems or trouble, whether right or wrong, he would choose to support him, a true brother indeed. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei exchanged a glance, feeling a bad premonition. Could it be that Wang Hao, having nothing better to do, was planning on messing with someone for fun? Yeqing's estate. Yeqing looked at Li Xian with admiration. Ever since this jade-faced little Filong demonstrated his seduction skills, he finally understood what a clothed beast was. Although Guo Yun's accident prevented Li Xian from taking Zhao Yuling home for the night, Zhao Yuling's expression undoubtedly said it all. Li Xian was creeped out by Yeqing's gawking. Surely he wasn't thinking of making a blood oath and swearing brotherhood with her? Young master yet, there's terrible news. Suddenly, there was a burst of shouting from afar, and then a man in black rushed in. What's the matter, why all the panic? Yeqing asked with a frown. Young master yet, Du Feng has severely injured all of our brothers, now they're all in the hospital, the man in black reported tremblingly. What? Rage surged on Yeqing's face, that Du Feng actually dared to attack my men. As soon as the words fell, Yeqing tapped his smart bracelet, which looked like he was calling for people, then he left quickly with a bunch of followers. Xia Weiwei pulled Wang Hao aside and asked, did you have a hand in this? Wang Hao looked innocent, this has nothing to do with me. I just sent Jian Wanyang to find out where those celebrities live and then told Yeqing. Why they would fight after that, who knows? Maybe they just got bored. Everyone gave Wang Hao a disdainful look, wondering just who was the one truly bored out of their mind. Don't you have any idea? These pop stars were Du Feng's carefully cultivated golden geese, each one equivalent to a money printing machine. Now you've lured a wolf to them. If Du Feng doesn't get angry, that would be the real surprise. Wang Hao, what are you really up to by stirring up a fight between these two guys? It can't just be for your amusement, right? Li Xian asked curiously. A bit for amusement, a bit for making money, and a bit for saving someone, Wang Hao counted on his fingers. Seeing this, everyone was completely floored by Wang Hao. Escaping from prison was supposed to be a serious matter, for crying out loud. But in Wang Hao's hands, not only was there fun to be had and money to be made, but he also played the two young masters like a fiddle, entertaining himself with a grand show in his spare time. Such skill, truly unrivaled. Wang Hao, haven't you already rescued Yeqing? Who else are you planning to rescue now? Li Yuniang glanced at the giant mecha parked in the manor, pondering that if Wang Hao really managed to take it with him, he would definitely report it to the military department after returning to the Interstellar Federation. If they could fully research the mecha's internal structure, it would be possible to find its weakness, implying that the mecha warriors of the Yaotian Federation would become mere decorations. That's idiotic. Wang Hao looked at Li Yuniang with disdain. Yeqing has been rescued, Du Feng not yet. But right, you're a noble's dog, limited intelligence, probably can't think of such matters. You, Li Yuniang felt his anger surge. Wang Hao, hold back a bit, we're all supposed to be working together right now, Li Xian stepped in to mediate. Working together? Wang Hao scoffed, what gives this noble dog the right to work with me? I was born to beat the noble's dogs. Humph, Li Yuniang left the scene, dripping with cold sweat. Wang Hao, you've gone a bit too far, Xia Weiwei glared at Wang Hao. I don't think the junior brother has gone too far at all, Ling Xiao spoke up. I've noticed these past few days that Li Yuniang has been scrutinizing the giant mecha in the manor. I think he's making some records. If the junior brother actually takes the giant mecha back, those nobles will surely come knocking on our door. No way. Both Li Xian and Xia Weiwei looked uneasy. Although Wang Hao never acted with integrity, he could ensure their safety and even effortlessly complete the tasks assigned by Chu Linghan, securing those precious rewards. And all they had to do in return was play the role of some extras, without any other demands or restrictions. They might as well say they were just traveling in the Yaotian Federation, and after the trip, they would receive valuable rewards. Who wouldn't want such a good deal? Although they envied Wang Hao's money-making skills, they knew it was earned through his shamelessness, something they couldn't simply envy their way into. Now, Li Yuniang eyeing the giant mecha that was truly unethical. Moreover, considering Wang Hao's relationship with the Royal College, as well as the military department and the nobility, expecting Wang Hao to hand over the giant mecha to the military department was nothing short of a pipe dream. Junior brother, if it's not possible, just hand over the giant mecha to the president's office instead. My dad will definitely come out to help you navigate this, Ling Xiao suggested. The president's office. Wang Hao's brow furrowed instantly. You mean your dad is at the president's office? Ling Xiao nodded, a look of confusion on his face. What's wrong with his dad being at the president's office? Wang Hao extended his finger, counting carefully. If brother you represent the president's office, Shuekyunqin represents Skyfire Company, Li Yuniang represents the military department, and I represent the Potion Guild, then among Xia Weiwei and Li Xian, one must be representing the Adventurers Guild. Chapter 205. As soon as the words fell, Ling Xiao's pupils suddenly shrank, and he immediately grasped the crux of the matter. He certainly knew much more than Wang Hao, who was oblivious to many things. He was very clear about the identities of both Li Xian and Xia Weiwei. And Li Xian was no better off, knowing she had a master in the Adventure Guild and understanding Xia Weiwei's identity, she also realized the problem at hand. No wonder Chu Linghan was so generous. It turned out she had gathered juniors from all 5 major powers of the Interstellar Federation. If something unfortunate happened to them, the Interstellar Federation would unify in an instant, which would be far more threatening than Skyfire Company demanding a person on its own. Xia Weiwei looked completely baffled, obviously having no idea what Wang Hao was talking about, since she still didn't comprehend the extent of her family's influence. I didn't expect that we all fell for these old foxes' tricks, Ling Xiao said with a wry smile, shaking his head. Li Xian was also full of anger, as having been used by someone left anyone feeling uncomfortable. Wang Hao's mouth twitched into a slight smirk. Chu Linghan has calculated well, but unfortunately, she's too far away now. That distant water can't quench immediate thirst. At these words, both Ling Xiao and Li Xian shuddered violently. With Chu Linghan not present, everything was up to Wang Hao. With Wang Hao's petty nature, if he wasn't planning something, then he wouldn't be Wang Hao. Junior brother, you're not planning to save them anymore? Ling Xiao couldn't help but ask. Wang Hao gave Ling Xiao a disdainful look. Who said I'm not saving them? If I don't save them, will you give me the heavenly divine thunder? The 3 of them were stunned, none understanding what Wang Hao was planning now. At this moment, Jian Wanyang and Chen Yao came over. Boss, we've found out which hospital Guo Yunzi is staying in. Why are you inquiring about which hospital Guo Yunzi is in? Li Xian curiously asked. Wang Hao sighed. You bullied the old man so miserably, so as the leader of the wolf gang, it's only right that I bring you to apologize. Otherwise, what if people say our wolf gang has no manners? Manners my ass. Li Xian's face turned completely dark. With her status causing trouble everywhere, and now him planning to play the good guy, how could this bastard be so shameless? Ling Xiao and Xia Weiwei were both impressed. Wang Hao's shamelessness could always surprise them. Twin Stars, Heavenly Saint Hospital. This was a very authoritative hospital on Twin Stars. After being burned by Wang Hao, Guo Yunzi was arranged to recuperate here. At this time, outside Heavenly Saint Hospital, Wang Hao and his group appeared. As for Li Yuniang, he was excluded. Junior brother, are you sure this is really going to work to win over Duo Duo? Ling Xiao nervously asked in his heart. Rest assured. There will definitely be no problem, Wang Hao comforted. But I always feel something is off, Ling Xiao hesitated, glancing back at the bag of chrysanthemum petals Chen Yao was holding. Ever since Wang Hao had forced the nickname of Chrysanthemum Knight onto him, he'd had this indescribable feeling towards chrysanthemums. At the same time, he also wondered why he should bring chrysanthemums to a girl when expressing his love. Shouldn't it be roses? Senior brother, don't worry about those minor details. Just do your part, and I guarantee Duo Duo will definitely fall into your arms, Wang Hao said, patting Ling Xiao on the shoulder with a serious look. I believe you. Ling Xiao nodded firmly. From the moment Wang Hao supported him unhesitatingly in his pursuit of happiness, he knew that he was a brother for life. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei's eyelids twitched slightly, always feeling that Wang Hao was up to no good. Boss, Miss Duo Duo has come out, Jian Wanyang came running. Ling Xiao took a deep breath, clenched his fists, and walked towards the direction Qian Wanyang had pointed to. Chen Yao picked up the bag of chrysanthemums and quickly followed Ling Xiao. Wang Hao, what exactly are you planning to do? Li Xian couldn't help asking. Alas! Wang Hao sighed with a sorrowful face, my senior brother has been so kind to me, how could I watch him suffer in agony? So, I racked my brains and came up with a win-win solution, not only to help him successfully win over Miss Duoduo, but also to make Miss Duoduo be the one to break up first. This way, senior brother won't be left with regrets for pining away. The faces of the two women, Li Xian and Xia Weiwei, turned black in an instant. How idle was this bastard? First do a good deed, then break up a pair of lovers, was this boredom to the point of pain? However, after thinking about it, they both quite agreed with Wang Hao's approach, as there was definitely no future for Ling Xiao and Duoduo together. Given that, it was better to let them date first, then have Duoduo initiate the breakup. Even if Ling Xiao would be heartbroken for a while, it was still better than ruining his great prospects. Boss, you truly are the world's best junior brother. Qian Wanyang looked at Wang Hao admiringly. Where, Wang Hao demurred with a modest wave of his hand, my virtue lies in my willingness to help others. Such noble integrity, boss, truly commands the world's respect, Qian Wanyang said with admiration, pulling out the book that chronicled Wang Hao's daily deeds. So boss, could you detail just how you willingly help others? Li Xian and Xia Weiwei shook their heads. Ever since Qian Wanyang and Chen Yao had started following Wang Hao, they had indeed gained a lot of benefits, but their integrity was sold clean. Wang Hao scratched his chin, pondered, and said, for example, men often turn bad once they have a bit of money, so I'm quite happy to help them spend it, making them good again. Also, those men who are handsomer than me, to save them from the harassment of women, I'd be willing to help them with a few slashes on the face, or even to smash their privates, helping them renounce the secular world. Then there's comforting the single dogs, telling them that the only fair thing in the world is death. I die under peonies, you die alone. And when someone gets robbed, I'm quite happy to step in and help, but I must share in the spoils afterwards. Qian Wanyang stood there stunned, the boss really was willing to help others. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei were also astonished by Wang Hao's words. How shameless must one be to speak of these things as helping others? As the chrysanthemums wither, sorrow blankets the ground. At that moment, a very sorrowful song came from afar, especially with its fusion of modern and classical styles, giving a refreshing impression. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei turned to look and saw Ling Xiao with a face full of sorrow, a picture of heartbreak, while Chen Yao scattered handfuls of chrysanthemum petals over him, filling everyone's hearts with a sense of desolation in an instant. Similarly, Duoduo's gaze was drawn by Ling Xiao's singing, and even her eyes shimmered with a golden light. Her grandfather had a few old friends over, so she came out for some fresh air, but she hadn't expected to hear Ling Xiao's singing. Although she was the granddaughter of the great literary figure Guo Yunzi and had been exposed to classical poetry since childhood, she was still young and, like other youngsters, enjoyed listening to pop music. This person's ability to blend traditional and pop music was truly masterful. Duoduo felt that this person must be a talented young man, a creative one at that, much like Li Xiaoxian from last night, both rare young talents. It was just that his song was so mournful it incited in others the urge to comfort him. With this in mind, hoping to make a new acquaintance, Duoduo approached Ling Xiao to greet him. Chapter 206. Wang Hao, Duoduo really went to look for brother Ling Xiao. Li Xian watched the scene in amazement, thinking Wang Hao was too awesome. A single song had successfully caught Duoduo's attention, and she had even taken the initiative to approach him. Wang Hao didn't respond, but snapped his fingers. Qian Wanyang, you watch here. After I separate from Duoduo, you go tell her about my brother's reputation as the chrysanthemum hero and tell her that this song was written for that man who once set his chrysanthemum ablaze. The moment the words were out, the three of them burst into laughter. What a thorough job of screwing things up. Even if Duoduo liked Ling Xiao, she would not be able to accept that Ling Xiao messed around with men and, had his chrysanthemum on fire. Let's go. With a relaxed pace, Wang Hao headed towards the hospital. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei gave Ling Xiao a sympathetic look, comforting him in their minds that heartbreak was better than a lack of a future. Despite Wang Hao's despicable actions, they would keep the secret, hoping Ling Xiao could bounce back. Heavenly Saint Hospital, in some VIP ward, a group of old men was surrounding Guo Yunzi. Old man Guo, you're not joking, right? A 17-year-old boy is better than you in poetry, calligraphy, and couplet matching. One old man couldn't believe it. Guo Yunzi reluctantly smiled and said, this young man and I exchanged verbal blows for over 30 rounds, and this is the poetry and calligraphy he wrote. Saying that, he handed several pieces of paper to the old men present. The old men hurriedly took them and were instantly dumbfounded. Each of these poems could be passed down for ages as true masterpieces, they couldn't write such verses themselves. And this calligraphy, so sharp and distinctive yet so full of personality. For someone to incorporate their own style and create a new school of calligraphy was truly remarkable. At that moment, a nurse knocked on the door and came in, saying politely, Master Guo Yunzi, 3 young people are here to see you, one of them says his name is Li Xiaoxian. Li Xiaoxian. Guo Yunzi shivered suddenly. What mischief was this troublemaker up to this time? Didn't he burn himself enough and now he's followed me here? When Wang Hao and his party walked in, Li Xian felt uneasy under the old men's stares, wondering if these old geezers were also planning to challenge her to a literary contest. Master Guo Yunzi, hello. Wang Hao greeted him with a sincere face, I am Wang Hao, the gang leader of the Wolf Gang. Our vice gang leader insulted you yesterday, which was truly her fault. So, I've specifically brought her today to apologize to you. Xia Weiwei's mouth twitched. Last night's fire had caused Guo Yunzi to lose several years of his life, and now Wang Hao was disingenuously bringing Li Xian over to apologize while placing all the blame on her. Could this asshole have any shame at all? Although Guo Yunzi was displeased about losing years of his life, one does not slap a smiling face, and with Wang Hao's humble posture, what could he say? Lord Wang is too polite. I was simply no match for you last night, Guo Yunzi humbly sighed. Wang Hao nodded in agreement, that's true. With Master Guo Yunzi's skill, you indeed were no match. Just remember this lesson for the future, and don't make the same mistake. Then you'll still be a good comrade. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei held their heads, their foreheads aching. They should have realized sooner that expecting Wang Hao to apologize was as believable as expecting the end of the world tomorrow. You, the old men glared at Wang Hao, furious at his audacity to insult Guo Yunzi like that. What you? Am I wrong? Wang Hao looked at them with disdain, our vice gang leader was indeed at fault, but you, Master Guo Yunzi, were even more wrong. Knowing your own limitations yet still puffing up your face to look fat, in the end, causing our vice gang leader to lose her temper and burn you. This situation teaches us that if you are incompetent, don't come out and make idle comparisons. You, the old men trembled with rage, feeling the urge to throw caution to the wind and give Wang Hao a beating. Sadly, they were all in the twilight of their years, using their true qi only to lock in their life force, not daring to be reckless, or they would end up like Guo Yunzi, losing a few years of life for nothing. Seems like you're still not convinced. Wang Hao curled his lip, if you're not, then in 3 days, I will set up a stage at Langxing World Company and wait for you all to come and challenge me. Fine, I will definitely keep you company. The old man wants to tell you youngsters, it's not your turn to take charge yet. In these 3 days, the old man will notify the literary giants of Twin Stars to come and meet this young man named Li Xiaoxian. You're the leader of the Wolf Gang, right? The old man is telling you, I'm going to banish you. That's right, a brash kid dares to be arrogant in front of us, he must be banished. Wait a minute, this seems a bit like bullying the young. That's also true, kid, I'll give you a chance. As long as you can win against us after 3 days, we won't banish you. Haha, this is a good idea. That way, no one can say we're bullying the young. This is a good idea, how could a few greenhorns possibly be a match for us old-timers? Even if he were descended from the literary star, we old-timers would still teach him how to be a proper person. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei completely knelt to Wang Hao's ability to stir up trouble, he would claim second place in this art, and no one would dare claim first. Just a few words, and he had riled up the literary giants of Twin Stars like this, truly, no one else could do it. However, this guy embarrassingly insulted those literary giants and then proposed some kind of competition. What on earth did he want to do? All right, anyone can brag. If you've got the guts, we'll see in 3 days. Wang Hao waved his hand, then handed a few CDs to everyone present. This time, no matter what, we're here to apologize. This is a little token from us. The CD is a collector's edition, with videos of our Langxing World Company's female singers. I hope you won't despise it. The elders in the hospital room took the CD and looked at each other. I heard Langsing World Company is a record label. That's correct, our granddaughter has recently been obsessed with the songs published by this company. But what era is this, why are they still using CDs? Didn't you hear them? This is a collector's edition, maybe it's a marketing strategy. That makes sense. The mindset of young people these days is rather advanced, perhaps they're engaging in some sort of retro trend. Considering it's a collector's edition, we'll go a bit easier on them after 3 days. The kid is a bit too cocky, but he still knows how to behave. The old man might consider not banishing you. Seeing the CD, the corners of Li Xian and Xia Weiwei's mouths twitched, and without thinking, they turned around and left the hospital room. Indeed, the CD was an upcoming collector's edition from Langsing World Company, and it did contain videos of those female singers, but these weren't music videos, they were something V. To give such films to literary giants, only Wang Hao could come up with such an idea. Alright, you old geezers, we'll see each other in 3 days. Wang Hao waved and then left the hospital room. Humph! The old men snorted coldly. This kid actually dared to call them old geezers. They would definitely teach him a lesson about manners after 3 days. Chapter 207. Heavenly Saint Hospital, in the garden. Qian Wanyang and Chen Yao watched as Duo and Ling Xiao engaged in cheerful conversation, their hearts felt a bit reluctant. Qian Wanyang, isn't what the boss is doing a bit too heartless? Chen Yao couldn't help but ask. Qian Wanyang sighed, although it's cruel, it's for boss Ling's own good. Better to leave behind some beautiful memories than to have an uncertain future. I feel the boss is not wrong in doing this. Chen Yao thought about it and felt it made sense. They didn't know Ling Xiao's identity, but it was definitely significant. If Ling Xiao were to marry a grand literary figure's granddaughter from the Yao Tian Federation, he would surely never be able to enter the upper echelons of the Interstellar Federation. Even worse, he might even be charged with treachery. So, these two being together had no future at all, it was better to make Ling Xiao give up sooner rather than later. Look, Boss Ling is gone, he seems to have gone to buy ice cream, Chen Yao tugged at Qian Wanyang. Let's go. Qian Wanyang and Chen Yao walked toward Duo. At that moment, Duo's face was filled with joy. She had just had an especially congenial chat with Ling Xiao and discovered that he was not only courteous but also extremely knowledgeable and very handsome, especially when he sang. His melancholic expression made one's heart ache for him for 3 seconds. Did you hear? The chrysanthemum hero from Langsing World Company just sang here. The chrysanthemum hero? Is that the pervert who seduces both men and women? That's him. It's said that the song he just sang was for the first man who took his chrysanthemum. No way? There really are such people in the world. Didn't you hear him sing broken chrysanthemums, scattered all over the ground? It means that his chrysanthemum is broken. Really? Is that true? If you don't believe it, you can check out the official website of Langsing World Company. They have information about this chrysanthemum hero. Hearing this, Duo's smile vanished, and her heart skipped a beat. Singing here? Attracting both men and women? The chrysanthemum hero? It couldn't be Brother Ling, could it? Thinking this, Duo, with a nervous heart, opened the official website of Langsing World Company. When she saw Ling Xiao's photo and profile, her head spun. She had actually spent so much time chatting with this kind of freak. Miss Duo, your ice cream is here. Ling Xiao, holding 2 ice cream cones, ran over with a happy face. Duo accepted the ice cream with a cold face and without a second thought, shoved it into Ling Xiao's face, then coldly said, "Go to hell." With that, she left in a huff. Ling Xiao stood there, stunned. What happened? Weren't they just fine a moment ago? How did it suddenly turn into this? Duo. When Ling Xiao realized what happened, he hurried after Duo and grabbed her arm, wanting to understand exactly what had happened. Let go, you freak. Duo's little face turned angry, and with a backhand, she slapped Ling Xiao's cheek. Ouch, that woman is so fierce. Several yards away, Wang Hao, holding a bucket of popcorn, was enjoying the scene unfolding before him. Li Xian gave Wang Hao a sideways glance. She should have realized that Wang Hao's efforts to sabotage the lovers were not for the sake of Ling Xiao's future but merely to enjoy the show. Otherwise, why would he have prepared so scrupulously? Xia Weiwei made herself comfortable next to Wang Hao, grabbing some popcorn and munching away. Wang Hao, what do you think Brother Ling will do next? Wang Hao couldn't help but laugh. Last night, I gave my senior brother the example of how I tried to forcefully kiss Zhao Yuling at the banquet. I told him that a domineering kiss followed by a passionate I love you could work on any woman, whether she's proud, angry, or even trying to confess love, and he actually believed it. Ha ha ha. Pfft. The two women burst into laughter. This bastard was really too wicked. Now in Duoduo's eyes, Ling Xiao was nothing but a pervert. If he really kissed her. Duoduo, I love you. Just then, Ling Xiao loudly spoke those three words, and before Duoduo could react, he kissed her. Duoduo's eyes widened in shock as her mind went blank. She had actually been kissed by this pervert. With that thought, Duoduo didn't say another word. She pushed Ling Xiao away, her face flushed with fury, clenched her little fists, and raised her slender legs to unleash a furious beatdown. Oh my, that's just too tragic. Wang Hao couldn't bear to watch and covered his eyes with his hand. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei gave Wang Hao a look of disgust. He had set Ling Xiao up so terribly, and yet he had the audacity to say such a thing. After Duoduo finished thrashing Ling Xiao and huffed away angrily, Wang Hao approached the bruised and swollen Ling Xiao, comforting him, "Brother, the blossom is willing, but the stream is indifferent. Why be so persistent?" Li Xian and Xia Weiwei rolled their eyes. Could this guy get any more shameless? Sabotaging Ling Xiao on one hand, and playing the good guy on the other, there were no words to describe Wang Hao's shamelessness anymore. Ling Xiao forced a smile that was uglier than crying. "Junior brother, I really don't understand. Why did this happen? I did exactly as you taught me." Wang Hao sighed. "You saw the effect when I tried to forcefully kiss Zhao Yuling at the banquet. So my method is definitely not the problem. It's all because you didn't grasp the right moment. What should I do now?" Ling Xiao asked eagerly. Wang Hao's eyes lit up. Good grief, this was the spirit of the big bad wolf. He hadn't given up yet, and here was another show to watch. Seeing this, Li Xian hurriedly said, "Boss Ling, this Miss Duoduo hit you like that, which clearly shows she has no feelings for you. If you keep pestering her, not only will she not like you, but she'll also hate you for a lifetime." Xia Weiwei nodded vigorously. "Brother Ling, Miss Duoduo was all smiles with you just now but turned around and hit you the next moment. This kind of woman is obviously fickle, completely different from the sweet and adorable person you described." This, Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. He had been having a delightful conversation with Duoduo moments ago. How could it have suddenly turned out like this? Could it be that Duoduo really was that kind of temperamental girl? Wang Hao shook his head in disappointment. This guy's willpower was simply too weak. He was far from being the big bad wolf. The two women breathed a sigh of relief. They were glad that after noticing something off in Wang Hao's gaze, they promptly dispelled Ling Xiao's terrible idea. Otherwise, who knows what kind of mess he'd be in next time. By the way, how did it go with the apology? Ling Xiao forced a smile, changing the subject. Xia Weiwei rolled her eyes. That wasn't an apology. It was a provocation. He even arranged a literary duel with those great writers in 3 days. A literary duel? Ling Xiao blinked, puzzled. What was this all about now? He also gave those great writers the limited edition A something V that accompanied the drinks. My guess is once they watch the films, they'll be furious. If things don't blow up in 3 days, that'd be the real surprise. Li Xian shook her head, thoroughly convinced of Wang Hao's talent for causing trouble. Ling Xiao twitched his mouth, unable to resist asking, "Junior brother, what are you planning now?" Wang Hao's mouth quirked up in a slight smirk. "Nothing much. I just see these old fellows have no simple status, and I plan to use them as a backing." Backing? The three of them were puzzled. How could these esteemed literary giants from the Yaotian Federation become their backing? Chapter 208. Wang Hao and the others left the hospital and went to an outdoor cafe to drink some coffee and lift their spirits. Looking at Ling Xiao's troubled expression, Wang Hao couldn't help but say, "Senior brother, there's no need to wear such a long face. The world is full of beautiful prospects, why fixate on a single flower?" Li Xian and the others rolled their eyes. That was his pure first love, and now that you've ruined it, you still have the nerve to stand here making insensitive remarks. There's really no humanity in you. Ling Xiao forced a smile. "Junior brother, you wouldn't understand this feeling." "I wouldn't understand." Wang Hao looked melancholic. Without having loved, how could there be pain? without pain, how could I be so unrestrained now? Everyone stared blankly at Wang Hao, wondering if this guy had a story to tell. But he was only 17 years old. Wasn't this maturity a little too premature? Junior brother, you've had this experience too? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Wang Hao immediately went back to being nonchalant and waved his hand. Stop thinking about those things. Thinking too much gives you a headache, understanding it hurts your heart, and to stop the pain, you can only make others feel it. I've got a piece of advice for you, when it goes from who loves whom to loving whoever you want, everything becomes simple. Li Xian and Xia Weiwei rolled their eyes. Was he suggesting that since he couldn't get love himself, he might as well be a homewrecker and split up others? Mr. Wang. Just then, Ye Qing's crying voice rang out. Wang Hao and the others turned to look and saw Ye Qing, with a bruised nose and swollen face, running towards them. Oh my goodness, Du Feng was really too brutal, wasn't he? Xia Weiwei was startled and at the same time regretful. If she had known Ye Qing would be beaten so badly, she would have not gone to the hospital but to watch the drama instead. As expected, young Master Ye was beaten by Du Feng. Wang Hao shook his head and sighed. Ye Qing asked curiously, you knew I was going to get beaten by Du Feng? Wang Hao nodded, of course. Du Feng's men are all elite, and with young Master Yi's good-for-nothing followers, you were bound to get no advantage. Ye Qing's face cooled down. Since you knew, why did you just watch me leave and not warn me? Wang Hao said unhurriedly, if I told young Master Ye that you're no match for Du Feng, would you have listened to me? This, Ye Qing hesitated. With his personality, he would indeed likely not have listened to Wang Hao, but that wasn't a reason for Wang Hao not to warn him. So, I've already thought of a way for young Master Ye to get revenge on Du Feng, and you can even take care of Du Feng's father, Du Ming, at the same time, Wang Hao said with a confident smile. Ye Qing's eyes lit up, and he laughed. Mr. Wang is really considerate, truly a great brother. What's your plan for getting revenge on them? Wang Hao spoke in a low voice. I just went to provoke Guo Yunzi and scheduled a literary battle at Langxing World Company in 3 days, inviting many literary giants. All we need to do is drug these old guys, then force them to make a video. With that video in hand, the father and son, Du Feng and Du Ming, will be at young Master Yi's mercy. Pfft! No sooner had he finished speaking than everyone at the scene burst out laughing. This guy is incredibly devious. Those are the literary giants, and he even thought to use such a despicable method to frame them. Wang Hao said proudly, young Master Ye, think about it. These old guys have significant status. With the video in your hands, you're set to make a fortune. Ye Qing shook his head repeatedly, Mr. Wang, this won't work. You've said it yourself, these literary giants have serious clout. If they are provoked, even my father couldn't save me. The video will be in your hands, they should be the ones afraid, not you. Wang Hao gestured dismissively. That's easy for you to say, but what if these old guys don't fall for it? Ye Qing said with some concern. Young Master Ye, these great literary giants have been wise their entire lives, would they really risk their reputation over a video? So, you needn't be afraid at all. What you should be thinking about is how to pressure these literary masters into seeking private gain for you, Wang Hao said softly. Seek private gain? Ye Qing's eyes lit up slightly. Wang Hao spoke softly, for example, whether your dad can be promoted to level 1, or causing Du Ming to step down, or making Du Feng kneel in front of you and bark like a dog, or you, young Master Ye, joining the military department to become the youngest Grand General. The more Ye Qing listened, the heavier his breathing became. These were all things he wanted to do, but didn't dare to or, it could be said, lacked the power to do. It was as if an invisible shackle had him locked up. But now, if he just took the risk, then he could do as he pleased in the future. Ling Xiao and the others were completely convinced, no wonder Wang Hao had chosen Ye Qing. It was because Ye Qing was not just brainless but also easily tempted, with just a little sweetener, the guy was sure to take the bait. Of course, I also know that young Master Ye won't be able to consider this thoroughly for the time being. Wang Hao poured a cup of coffee and handed it to Ye Qing, so I have also thought of a second method for dealing with Du Feng for young Master Ye. What method? Ye Qing put down his coffee and asked repeatedly. As long as young Master Ye learns my insect smile, dealing with Du Feng will be a piece of cake, Wang Hao said with a smile. Use the insect smile against Du Feng. Ye Qing's skin crawled with revulsion. Wasn't the insect smile meant to make women madly rush towards you? What's the purpose of using it on Du Feng? Could it make Du Feng rush over too? Ugh, that's so disgusting. Wang Hao chuckled. It seems young Master Yi's understanding of the insect's smile is not quite comprehensive. Saying this, Wang Hao stood up and went to the bustling street, shouting, "You bunch of idiots!" As his voice spread throughout the entire street, everyone stopped in their tracks, then turned to look at Wang Hao. However, as soon as they saw the slight upwards twist of Wang Hao's lips, a chill ran from the soles of their feet to the top of their head, and goosebumps sprang up all over their bodies in an instant. A few seconds later, a hubbub erupted throughout the scene. "Run for it, help! There's a pervert, help! Don't come any closer, don't come any closer!" After the women fled the scene in panic, the men also eyed Wang Hao warily and then slowly retreated. Before long, the bustling street had become eerily quiet. Ye Qing watched this scene, dumbfounded. This was too fake, wasn't it? Last time a smile hooked countless girls, so why did it make them turn tail and run today? Young Master Ye, you see, the insect's smile not only captivates but also frightens people, it can even make men lose their composure for a moment, Wang Hao said with a smile. Young Master Ye can imagine, the next time you meet Du Feng, a smile from you confuses him, allowing your men to step forward and beat him up. Wouldn't that be very easy and pleasant? Ye Qing nodded repeatedly. That's great, that's great. Then, Mr. Wang, please teach me the insect's smile right away. Young Master Ye, whether one can learn the insect's smile mainly depends on talent. Wang Hao stretched out 3 fingers, reminiscing, to grasp the insect's smile. I mingled among the riffraff for 3 whole years. I feel that you would definitely understand it if you took this path. 3 years? Mixed with those hooligans. Ye Qing shook his head repeatedly. He was the son of Grand General Ye Tianxiang, how could he mingle in such places? If young Master Ye doesn't want to go among the riffraff, then go there instead. I believe that the people there will definitely show you what a provocative, arrogant and vicious smile looks like. Wang Hao pointed to the prison star in the sky. Ling Xiao and the others twitched nervously. Wang Hao's foxtail had finally shown. Chapter 209. Prison Star. Ye Qing was stunned and asked, "Are you saying those prisoners can help me comprehend the smile of the worm?" Wang Hao nodded. The smile of the worm originated from the smiles of wrongdoers. As long as young Master Ye goes to Prison Star and sees the smiles of those villains, you'll surely gain some insights. But I can't go there. Ye Qing sighed in resignation. Prison Star was the most secure prison of the Yaotian Federation, and getting there required personal approval from Marshal Zhao Kun. Even if his father was a grand general, he didn't have that privilege. Ling Xiao and the others rolled their eyes. Ye Qing was so gullible, believing such ridiculous claims. It's precisely because it's the most secure prison that those imprisoned there are relentless. Wang Hao patted Ye Qing on the shoulder and whispered, "Besides, young Master Ye, you have a clean record. As long as your dad speaks up, Marshal Zhao Kun would surely give him some face, right?" This, Ye Qing thought for a moment and felt it made sense. Zhao Kun had watched him grow up after all. Now visiting Prison Star without interacting with the prisoners, he believed that Zhao Kun would grant that much face. Wang Hao's lips curved slightly, "And I've already thought of a reason for you to go." "A reason?" Ye Qing was dumbfounded, then realized he indeed needed one. If he told his dad directly that he wanted to comprehend the smile of the worm, his dad might even think of killing him. Wang Hao nodded. "You could say to save expenses you plan to go to Prison Star to have some male prisoners star in films for free, and thereby address their physiological needs. I think your dad would be quite relieved to hear that." Pfft! Ling Xiao and others spit out their coffee in disbelief. "Relieved my ass. What dad would be relieved to hear his son was making those kinds of films? That's a great reason." Ye Qing nodded. "I've heard that those imprisoned on Prison Star often cause trouble due to lack of women." Wang Hao counted on his fingers. "Moreover, there are several benefits. First, since these prisoners haven't touched a woman in a long time, their combativeness must be strong, which is good for the film. Second, seeing a woman will make their smiles even more lecherous, which will help you comprehend the smile of the worm. And third, like I said, it indeed saves money on hiring male actors." Ye Qing nodded repeatedly, feeling everything Wang Hao said made perfect sense. Ling Xiao and the others were speechless. Ye Qing was utterly bamboozled by Wang Hao. But just then, Ye Qing didn't notice that Wang Hao now had a little spider in his hand, which he nonchalantly tossed into Ye Qing's coffee cup. As the spider entered the coffee, it instantly dissolved into hundreds of thousands of microscopic robots. This scene was clearly seen by Ling Xiao and the others. Seeing this, Ling Xiao didn't hesitate, lifting his coffee cup. Young Master Yat, here's to your swift comprehension of the smile of the Y-worm and becoming the next leader of the wolf realm. Truly great brothers. Yeqing didn't think twice, clinked cups with Ling Xiao, and gulped down his coffee. Everyone, enjoy yourselves, all expenses are on me. Yeqing waved his hand and turned to leave, clearly off to discuss the prison star matter with his dad. Young Master Yat, about the literary contest in 3 days, you really need to think it through. Wang Hao reminded. Yeqing thought for a moment and then nodded, showing he understood. Junior brother, you tell me, how likely is it that Yeqing will go to prison star? Ling Xiao asked. Wang Hao shook his head, I don't know, but it should be quite likely. After all, Yeqing has lived on twin stars since he was a child and he doesn't deal with those prisoners. Zhao Kun wouldn't have a reason not to give face. Do we really have no other way to send little spider to prison star? Xia Weiwei asked curiously. All you think about is games and fun, haven't you looked at the information Bai Bian provided? Li Xian tapped Xia Weiwei's head and then explained, according to the data provided by Bai Bian, with military star guarding, even a mosquito wouldn't think about getting close to prison star. That terrifying. Xia Weiwei rubbed her head, visibly frightened. Ling Xiao seriously said, military star is the place where the Yao Tian Federation trains new soldiers. Whatever equipment other military zones have, this place definitely has it, and whatever they don't have, this place still has it. You could even say that any equipment the Yao Tian Federation has, you can find it here. The level of security is absolutely terrifying. Let's not worry about military star or prison star for now, let's wait until Yeqing successfully persuades his father. Wang Hao sipped his coffee. Everyone nodded, feeling this made sense. If Yeqing couldn't persuade Ye Tianxiang, then everything would be futile. Boss, does your Y-worm smile really require living with the local hooligans? Qian Wanyang asked obsequiously, obviously very curious about this divine skill. Yet, boss, do you think we have the talent to learn the Y-worm smile? Chen Yao asked ingratiatingly. If they learned this divine skill, girls would be flocking to them. Li Xian shook her head with a laugh, you believe such nonsense? Wang Hao has been holed up in the laboratory his whole life, he barely steps out at all, much less lives with local hooligans for 3 years. Holed up in the laboratory. Qian Wanyang and Chen Yao were stunned. Was there a mistake? Would Wang Hao, the kind of person who gets restless without causing trouble daily, be cooped up in a lab without ever stepping out? How so? Does it seem unlikely? Wang Hao glanced at them and said indifferently, don't forget, I am a level 3 medicine sect, how could I have achieved anything without countless failures? Boss, stop joking, with your talent, how could you have failed countless times? Qian Wanyang said in disbelief. Chen Yao also realized and kept shaking his head, boss, you must be joking. With your talent, surely you'd jump a level a day. After 3 days, you'd probably lose interest, that's why you remained at level 3 medicine sect. Cough cough. Ling Xiao and the others choked on their breath. These 2 guys were over the top with their flattery, advancing a level per day and losing interest after 3 days. Damn it, if the Potion Guild's pharmacists heard this, they would tear these 2 into pieces. However, Wang Hao looked very pleased, his followers increasingly aligning with his expectations. Here are 2 bottles of marrow cleansing potion. Drinking these will upgrade your physique a notch, so you won't disgrace me when we go out. Qian Wanyang and Chen Yao's eyes sparkled, and they thanked him continuously, thank you, boss, for your cultivation. Ling Xiao shook his head and then curiously asked, junior brother, do you really intend to target those great literary masters? Wang Hao countered, such a great trump card has been delivered to your hands, would you choose not to want it? Ling Xiao thought about it and then shook his head, indicating he wasn't a fool. They were now in the Yao Tian Federation, having this trump card would undoubtedly be an offensive and defensive advantage. But would those great literary masters compromise? Chapter 210. If these great writers compromise, our actions would be much easier. Li Xian expressed some concerns, but now it seems Yeqing has no such intentions. Do we still need to act? Yeqing is just a pawn. Do we need his consent for what we want to do? Wang Hao scoffed disdainfully, besides, this pawn no longer has any value to us. That's right. Ling Xiao nodded in agreement. Regardless of whether Yeqing could persuade Zhao Kun to agree to him going to prison star, they had already fed the little spider to Yeqing. It would be good if he could be persuaded, but if not, they just had to take back the little spider. Thus, from the moment Yeqing swallowed the little spider, he had already lost his usefulness as a pawn. You guys are really cruel. Xia Weiwei shook her head, still resistant to the idea of comparing people to chess pieces. Li Xian seriously lectured, Weiwei, they are from the Yao Tian Federation, and we are from the Interstellar Federation. We are natural enemies. Being merciful to your enemy is being cruel to yourself. Sigh. Ling Xiao sighed, actually, the Yao Tian Federation and the Interstellar Federation are all one family. Why cause so many problems? These are rules set by those in higher positions. We don't have the power to change them. Wang Hao glanced at Ling Xiao, senior brother, I advise you to forget about Duo. It's impossible between you two. Ling Xiao nodded, I will, but give me some time. Wang Hao gestured to Jian Wanyang with a beckoning motion and then whispered in his ear, go back now and tell them the film can be released. Remember to make it as big as possible, don't be afraid of causing any serious matter. We need to collect the money and leave quickly, it won't be our concern afterward. Jian Wanyang nodded and then quickly left. Junior brother, even if you end up making a lot of money, you can't spend it all when you bring it back, can you? Ling Xiao asked, puzzled. Who said I'm bringing it back? Can't I just spend it all here? Wang Hao rolled his eyes. You're not joking, are you? Xia Weiwei said in surprise. With so much money, how many things would he have to buy? Even if Wang Hao has a huge dimension space, it wouldn't fit that much. Who's joking with you? I plan to buy 50, or even more, level 4 mechas, Wang Hao said seriously. 50 level 4 mechas. Everyone exclaimed in shock. Is this kid okay? Who would sell him so many mechas? Is he asking to be targeted by the Yao Tian Federation? I told you, you wouldn't understand. I feel like I'm about to have a breakthrough today. I'll go back and cultivate for a few hours. Wang Hao stood up and sighed, I can't play LOL anymore either, so pitiful. In an instant, everyone felt a twinge of pain in their chests. They worked themselves to death in cultivation, barely managing to advance a minor level, while Wang Hao, living a carefree life playing games every day, was about to have a breakthrough too. How could they stand this? Especially since he looked so reluctant, it made them want to beat him up even more. In just a few hours, a photo went viral on the internet. The photo showed a naked woman entangled with a muscular man, and this woman was Little AI, the recently popular female singer. She was a contracted singer with Langsing World Company and had sung dozens of hit songs, each widely popular, even more so than the reigning queen of the music world. At the same time, news spread that this singer, Little AI, also had a full explicit video taken, but viewing it required spending 1 Yao Tian coin. The twin stars' internet exploded in an uproar. Impossible, my goddess couldn't do such a thing. Who is that man? Is he her boyfriend? Was she secretly filmed? I just watched the video, that man isn't Little AI's boyfriend. Rich guy, you really are willing to spend money, hurry up and tell us, what exactly happened? Wow, my goddess, Little AI was forced, someone made her shoot the film. What? That's happening, who is this person? I'm going to chop him up now. Just watch the video yourself and you'll know. Driven by curiosity, some people couldn't stand it anymore, gritted their teeth, stamped their feet, and spent a Yao Tian coin to start watching the video. As the video began, a young man with a smile appeared on the screen. Hello everyone, my name is Wang Hao, one of the owners of Langsing World Company. Today I have good news to announce, all the female stars in our company have signed contracts to shoot films, which means, your goddesses are going to show themselves fully to you all. Are you excited, are you happy? When Wang Hao disappeared, the film started, and their goddess appeared, but with an unwilling face. Seeing this scene, some men on the twin stars got excited, but some were furious. How dare someone force their goddess to shoot a film, that was unbearable. At this moment, Wang Hao was sitting cross-legged on the bed, with Little White snoozing beside him. Suddenly, Wang Hao's body jerked violently, a powerful dull sound emanated from within, and a fierce aura spread from his body. A cluster of true qi in his dantian wildly struck a meridian, and in an instant, like a dam break, the true qi madly surged throughout his body. Half a moment later, Wang Hao slowly opened his eyes, exhaled a breath, feeling indescribably comfortable. At this moment, he had broken through to Martial Master Level 7, opening the 7th meridian in his body, making him several times stronger than before. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for desecrating other people's goddess, obtaining 300 villain points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for desecrating other people's goddess, obtaining 300 villain points. Wang Hao, listening to the system prompt in his mind, couldn't help but smile broadly. By packaging several hostesses as goddesses, the crime of desecrating goddesses was established, and he was about to make a fortune. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for desecrating the goddess of 5 million male compatriots, obtaining 1.5 billion villain points. 1.5 billion. Wang Hao's eyes widened, he'd only released one hostess's video and already earned so many points. If he released all of them, wouldn't he have hundreds of billions of villain points credited to his account? I'm rich, I'm rich. Wang Hao took a deep breath to calm himself down. 5 million people in the context of a level 4 planet with trillions of people wasn't really much, no need to get too excited. However, he was still a bit excited inside, so he decided to buy some treasures to calm his nerves, and they had to be very, very expensive treasures. Little White rubbed his sleepy eyes, saw that Wang Hao had finished cultivating, gently leapt into the hat behind Wang Hao, and continued to sleep. Chapter 211. System Notification. The host currently possesses 1.74 billion villain points. It's suggested to purchase the heaven-breaking giant sword skill, the second sword technique, army-breaking cyclone slash. Army-breaking cyclone slash. The next second, information about army-breaking cyclone slash appeared in front of Wang Hao. Army-breaking cyclone slash, the second sword technique of the heaven-breaking giant sword skill, exchange price, 500 million villain points. Only 500 million. Make the purchase directly, and incidentally enhance it to the level of perfected mastery, Wang Hao said with a hearty face. Right now, the thing he was least worried about was a shortage of villain points. If he ever ran low, he could simply sell adult movies, which not only brought in money but also yielded villain points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for spending 500 million villain points to purchase the army-breaking cyclone slash. Ding dong. As the host has comprehended the great sword mastery to a state of perfected mastery, the army-breaking cyclone slash has reached the pinnacle of achievement. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for spending 500 million villain points to raise the army-breaking cyclone slash to the level of perfected mastery. System notification, the host is left with 740 million villain points. At that moment, Wang Hao's body shuddered, his mind went blank, and everything around him changed. He was no longer in the bathroom, but instead, he appeared on a battlefield. Boom rumble. Suddenly, lightning flashed and thunder roared in the sky, and a man in white was surrounded by thousands of troops. However, the man in white remained calm, holding a giant sword in his hand. Army-breaking cyclone slash. The man in white shouted loudly, and the giant sword fiercely tore through the void, creating a massive sword light out of thin air. Boom rumble. The next second, a tremendous roar resounded, and the ground was instantly covered with fierce cracks, spreading far and wide. A violent wind rose in the sky, sweeping across the entire earth. At the same time, the ground under Wang Hao's feet also collapsed in an instant, a hurricane raged across the land, dust filled the void, and nothing could be seen. When everything had calmed down, Wang Hao stared blankly at the scene before him. The ground was devoid of anything, the thousands of troops from moments ago had vanished without a trace, and the entire land seemed as if it had been shaved off a layer. Just then, time seemed to flow by, and Wang Hao instantly snapped back to reality. Oh my mom, this move is literally the ultimate AoE attack. Wang Hao wiped the sweat from his forehead, clearly terrified. It seems your strength has increased again. A cool voice sounded. Wang Hao turned to look and saw Shuek Yunqin, whom he hadn't seen in many days, sitting there, holding a large red apple. She took a delicate bite. Her puffy cheeks looked very cute. Could you not knock on the door before entering? Wang Hao stood up to stretch his stiff body. Shuek Yunqin didn't reply but asked softly, the teleportation device receiver you wanted, we've given it to you, but how do you plan to hand it over to Chu Lei, and how do you plan to deal with those high-tech devices on Military Star? Don't worry about that. If nothing unexpected happens, the receiver will be in Chu Lei's hands in the next couple of days. Wang Hao came over to Shuek Yunqin, saying with a smile, but there's another thing I need your help with. What is it? Shwek Yunqin asked curiously. I need your blood to prepare the heavenly burial potion. Wang Hao smiled faintly, grabbed Shwek Yunqin's slender arm, then a large syringe once again appeared in front of Shwek Yunqin's pupils. Wait, didn't you say you wouldn't draw my blood? Shwek Yunqin, frightened and sweating cold sweat, kept moving backward, like Little Red Riding Hood encountering the big bad wolf, but her slender arm was firmly grasped by Wang Hao, leaving her with no chance to escape. Wang Hao said with a smile, but your master also said that I am in command of this operation, and now I need your blood, so just consider it as an order from your master that cannot be disobeyed and resign yourself. Ah! The next second, a scream echoed in the empty room. What's going on? Moments later, Li Xian and Xia Weiwei rushed in, but when they saw Shwek Yunqin looking pale and gasping for breath, their eyelids twitched. Why did this scene seem so familiar? Junior brother, what happened to you? Ling Xiao came over, asking with curiosity. It's nothing, just drew some blood for making the heavenly burial potion. Wang Hao nonchalantly waved his hand. Ling Xiao glanced at Shwek Yunqin, who was breathing less in and more out. Was this really just a little blood? At this moment, Wang Hao was calling out to the system, I want to upgrade my pharmacist level to level 4 Medicine King. How many villain points do I need? System notification, to upgrade to level 4 Medicine King, you first need a set of potion-making techniques. The system recommends Dream Hand, which is an advanced version of Thousand Illusion Hand. It costs only 200 million villain points and you can not only learn it but also enhance it to perfection. Following that, the host only needs to spend 500 million villain points to exchange for all the potion formulas of level 4 Medicine King. Wang Hao scratched his chin. After this exchange, he would only have 40 million points left, but once the video of him keeping company with the lady went out, it would explode again, so there was no need to worry. Exchange. Wang Hao called out to the system. The next second, Wang Hao shivered, and a vast amount of potion knowledge flooded into his mind. Junior brother, are you all right? Seeing this, Ling Xiao asked with concern. What could possibly be wrong with me? Wang Hao shrugged his shoulders and started taking out all the equipment needed to make potions. When Wang Hao's hands began to move, everyone was stunned. They had gotten faster, his hand speed had increased significantly from before, and the techniques were smoother. Could it be that Wang Hao had made a breakthrough? Had he reached level 4 Medicine King? But as soon as this thought emerged, everyone shook their heads in denial. If a 17-year-old third-level medicine sect was already unprecedented, then a 17-year-old level 4 Medicine King, wasn't that just too much? In no time at all, the heavenly burial potion was formulated. Although still a weakened version, it was much stronger than the original. When I was a third-level medicine sect, making the heavenly burial potion was enough to deal with a martial emperor. Now, as a level 4 Medicine King, dealing with a martial emperor is absolutely no big deal. Wang Hao put away the heavenly burial potion in his hand. This. Hearing Wang Hao's words, everyone's eyes widened, utterly shocked. If they had any doubts before, now everything was crystal clear, Wang Hao had truly reached level 4 Medicine King. But Wang Hao did nothing all day, so how did he achieve level 4 Medicine King? If those pharmacists who hid in laboratories all day knew about this, they would probably die of shame. Oh my god! Ling Xiao was stunned in place, hardly daring to imagine how the pharmacists would react when the news of a 17-year-old level 4 Medicine King reached the Potion Guild. No matter the reaction, it would definitely be utterly mad. Even if people like Su Mu were adamant about having Wang Hao practice martial arts, the Potion Guild probably wouldn't agree. Even the president of the Potion Guild, the Divine Dragon who kept to themselves, might personally intervene. It was entirely possible they would take Wang Hao as a disciple. Why are you all staring at me like this? Could it be my charm is so irresistible to both men and women? Wang Hao touched his own cheek, looking at everyone with confusion. Everyone rolled their eyes. Not only was this guy's talent peerless, but his thick skin was equally unmatched. Chapter 212. Sky Records Company, CEO Office. Du Feng sat in his office chair, listening to a report from a subordinate. Young Master Du, ever since you terminated contracts with those divas, Yeqing has ceased his acquisition of Sky Records Company, a man in a suit sighed in relief. Observing this, Du Feng's anger surged, and he shouted, "You're happy that Yeqing has stopped the acquisition of us?" No, I'm not happy at all," the man in the suit stammered in fear. Not happy? Du Feng yelled angrily, "So, you want sky records to be acquired. The man in the suit was about to cry, these young masters were so difficult to serve. Seeing this, someone quickly changed the subject, young master Du, Langsing World Company is going to end up ruined, they're pushing their newfound starlets into filming, that's like killing the goose that lays golden eggs. Killing your sister's goose, taking your uncle's eggs. Du Feng exclaimed, all their songs are classics, do you think they care about these starlets that just got famous a few days ago? If they want, not just one, they could make 100 famous. If I had such a songwriter, I'd want to make a big fortune, too. Du Feng was not joking, when a female star was pushed to fame, she'd turn into a big diva. It would be better to cash in on her while she's famous, then move on to the next one, saving both time and effort while making money. Obviously, the prerequisite was having a star maker, otherwise, they could only play up to these divas. Young Master Du, we found out that the starlets promoted by Langsing World Company were all bar hostesses, a man reported. Bar hostesses? Du Feng was stunned, then suddenly realized something. No wonder Langsing World Company would venture into such films, seizing the opportunity while these hostesses were in the limelight without negative press to rake in a fortune before moving on to the next starlet. A bunch of idiots, doesn't anyone have a good idea? Du Feng shouted in anger. These guys boasted about how great they were during the interviews, flaunting their degrees from prestigious universities, their brilliance, and demanding high salaries. But now, they were utterly subdued by Ye Qing, how could he not be furious? If this continued, their years of hard work would be washed down the drain once Langsing World Company's reputation solidified. If he lost to someone else, he could accept that, but losing to a scumbag like Ye Qing was unbearable for someone who considered himself superior. How about, we let our divas take on a sexy route, a man suggested. The people present rolled their eyes, their divas had the looks and the moves, and they had a market by being charismatic, but that was in the past. Now, Langsing World Company had it all, and they could even perform strip teases, throwing themselves into it without reservation, showing off their charm completely. How could they compete with that? Most importantly, their company had only a handful of divas, but it seemed Langsing World Company could promote as many as they wanted. Just thinking about the audience's expectations showed the massive disparity. The difference in numbers was absolutely a severe disadvantage. Young Master Du, we've discovered that Langsing World Company's current momentum is entirely due to the strategies of a man named Wang Hao, the leader of the Wolf Gang, a man said. Wang Hao. Du Feng frowned, he knew this Wang Hao, all of Langsing World Company's songs were his work, but he hadn't realized that the idea of turning bar hostesses into female stars and making money off movies was also his idea. We also found out, the Le Xiaoxian who overshadowed Master Guo Yunzi at the young mistress's banquet is also from the Wolf Gang. Le Xiaoxian. Du Feng thought of that elegantly mannered lad with a hooligan streak. Master Guo Yunzi said, if Le Xiaoxian calms his mind and practices, he could grasp the unity of heaven and man by 20. This kind of person will surely not remain unknown. Du Feng scratched his chin, feeling it was essential to make contact with these people from the Wolf Gang. Hearing that, everyone present was shocked. Who was this, able to have Master Guo Yunzi declare he could achieve unity of heaven and man by age 20? Could this really be possible? Prison Star. With an excited heart, Ye Qing boarded the Prison Star, after he had pestered his dad, who finally went to see Marshal Zhao Kun. And Zhao Kun, after some thought and considering that the prisoners often caused trouble due to the lack of women, didn't comment much and simply allowed Ye Qing to bring several women to shoot on the Prison Star. However, he specifically instructed that Ye Qing and his group were to undergo routine checks, absolutely not allowed to bring anything onto the star, even their clothes had to be what Prison Star provided. When Ye Qing arrived at a guard station, a squad of soldiers approached them. Stand still, the soldiers raised their guns, aiming at Ye Qing and the others. Young Master Ye, what are these people trying to do? A few bar hostesses sheltered behind Ye Qing in fright. What are you trying to do? Ye Qing bellowed in anger, my dad is Grand General Ye Tianxiang, I'm here with Marshal Zhao Kun's approval, yet you dare to aim guns at me. Prison Star is heavily guarded, it doesn't matter who comes. The leading soldier waved his hand, and several soldiers immediately came forward, showing no signs of giving face to Ye Qing. You, Ye Qing was furious. He had never been treated with such disdain, except by Du Feng, of course, but once he mastered the Y-virus smile, he'd definitely kill that bastard. Yet the soldiers didn't care whether Yeqing was angry or not and proceeded to strip him and the bar hostesses of their clothes, inevitably taking advantage of the women in the process. Once they confirmed Yeqing and his party had nothing on them, the soldiers then threw several articles of clothing at them, saluted, and turned to leave. As they left, the soldiers looked regretful. What a shame, why do these women engage in such acts? I heard these women are kept by that scumbag Yeqing, now to make money, he's actually pulling them out to film. He is a real scoundrel, isn't this like forcing one's wife into prostitution? Exactly, but who would call, he has a good dad. Alas, it's an era of relying on one's father, we're just unlucky. Damn bastards, wait for me. Yeqing's face was livid, he would never forget this humiliation. Just then, the little spider in Yeqing's stomach started stirring. Oh, oh! Causing Yeqing's stomach to ache, then he hurriedly looked for a restroom. Chapter 213 Heavenly Saint Hospital, in Guo Yun's ward, a group of old men were all raging mad. That little bastard Wang Hao, I'm not finished with him. I'm not finished with him either, to actually use that kind of inappropriate CD to shame me. I thought it was some pop music, so I went home and gave it to my grandson, but then, it nearly killed me. Your grandson just watched it alone for a day and a night, it's not that big of a deal. But I gave it to my granddaughter, and my daughter-in-law cursed at me, poking her finger in my face, and I didn't dare utter a word. I don't care, I will definitely chop that kid in half tomorrow. Murder is wrong, we should blacklist him. Exactly, he must be blacklisted. First, we teach him how to be human, then we blacklist him. Right, that's a must. Guo Yunzi helplessly shook his head. He had originally wanted to see the poetry contest organized by Wang Hao. But now, all these old friends of his were gearing up for revenge. What good would there be to watch? Forget it, I won't go. I might as well stay here playing League of Legends and sabotaging my teammates. Guo Yunzi sighed and, ignoring his old friends, switched on his teammate sabotage mode. A coffee shop. Wang Hao was leisurely sitting there, drinking coffee, with Ling Xiao and others by his side. Wang Hao was startled as the system's voice rang in his mind. Little spider has successfully landed on prison star, begin search for the target, Chu Lei. What's up? Li Xian asked curiously. Wang Hao smiled lightly, nothing much, the little spider has already landed on prison star, now we just need to figure out how to get another little spider onto military star. No sooner had he spoken than everyone around him brightened up, it meant that their mission was half completed. Wang Hao, where on earth did you get those little spiders from? Xia Weiwei couldn't help asking. Those little spiders not only had dimension space inside them but could also disassemble into hundreds of thousands of tiny robots, invisible to the naked eye, and even had the capability to take down a military sector. The level of technology was just too high, it definitely wasn't something the Interstellar Federation could have. If the Interstellar Federation really had such things, Skyfire Company wouldn't have spent years without rescuing Chu Lei. Someone thought I was handsome, so they gave me two. Wang Hao sipped his coffee, lying without so much as a blush or a heartbeat. The others rolled their eyes, if they believed such a blatant lie, they'd be idiots. However, Ling Xiao thought of a possibility. He had heard from his father that to the universe, the Interstellar Federation was but a speck of dust. In the endless expanse of the universe, there were far too many powers much stronger than the Interstellar Federation. Not only were they superior in military strength, but their technology was also much more advanced. Humanity's conquest of the galaxy star system was just the beginning, with a long road still ahead. Wang Hao now revealed those little spiders with technology far surpassing that of the Interstellar Federation, possibly originating from those advanced civilizations. Is it Junior Brother's talent that's too strong, alarming those advanced civilizations, or do these advanced civilizations have some other intentions? Ling Xiao wondered. Boss, look who's here. Qian Wanyang tugged at Wang Hao and looked outside the cafe. Wang Hao turned his head and saw Du Feng, accompanied by a group of followers, approaching. Ling Xiao and the others' expressions changed, and their hands were already on their weapons, ready for the upcoming battle. Don't get excited, this guy won't make a move on us, Wang Hao pressed down his hand, signaling everyone to put away their weapons. As expected of the gang leader who's caused an uproar on Civilian Star, truly a talented individual with great courage, Du Feng clapped his hands and looked at Wang Hao with an appreciative gaze. You came here, surely not just to tell me I have guts, right? Wang Hao said playfully, looking at Du Feng. Do you think you don't have guts? Du Feng retorted, then continued, you've made those drinking companions famous, even had them dive into filming. Now the public resentment is overwhelming. If this continues, even Yeqing won't be able to clean up this mess. Wang Hao said with a slight smile, you might not know this, but my courage is even greater than you think. Oh. Du Feng's interest peaked, then what's your plan? He was becoming more and more interested in the wolf gang. Though this gang leader gave him a severe headache and stirred public outrage on twin stars, he had also amassed a considerable fortune in a short amount of time. This ability to turn the clouds with one hand and rain with the other was a rare feat few in the world could accomplish. And now Wang Hao was hinting at stirring up even bigger trouble. Did this mean he could make even more money? And then there was the vice gang leader, Little Filong, whose literary talent was definitely 1 in a million. Not only had he defeated the literary giant Guo Yunzi, but he also effortlessly charmed Zhao Yiling. If he wished, he could likely climb the ranks of the Yao Tian Federation just by relying on a woman's support. As for the others who hadn't made a move, he wasn't too familiar with them, but being recruited by this cunning gang leader into the wolf gang meant they must possess extraordinary abilities. Hence, he was very interested in bringing these talents under his command. Ling Xiao and the others rolled their eyes, hoping Du Feng could remain as composed once Wang Hao caused a major ruckus. Not to mention other things, just the fact that Wang Hao was planning on going after the literary giants was a magnitude 12 earthquake for the Yao Tian Federation. These literary giants were all martial emperors or martial kings in their cultivation, who, in their old age, had to lock their life force with true qi to ensure their survival. Moreover, to be called a literary giant wasn't merely a matter of great literary talent, but also required the understanding of unity of heaven and man. It could be said that these literary giants were all invincible at their own level. So anyone could imagine what kind of status these literary giants held in their youth. Even without exaggeration, the Yao Tian Federation of the last century was mostly governed by these literary giants, who had significant political influence and social status. Now, if Wang Hao drugged them and filmed that sort of scandalous video, a lack of seismic shock would indeed be strange. Let's leave the matter of my guts for later. Your maximum effort to find me here, Du Feng, can't be just for this, right? Wang Hao sipped his coffee and asked softly. Du Feng nodded his head and said seriously, then let's lay it all out. You all are talented individuals, and following Yeqing is truly a waste of your abilities. How about following me instead? I assure you, whatever Yeqing offers you, I, Du Feng, will definitely match it, and anything Yeqing can't provide, I will also be able to give. Ling Xiao and the others looked at Wang Hao, knowing him well enough to anticipate that if Du Feng was delivering himself right to the doorstep, Wang Hao wouldn't pass up the opportunity to slice a couple of pounds off, it just wouldn't be like him. Chapter 214. Really? Wang Hao smiled, then I just made 14 million Yao Tian coins in the past 2 days. You help me buy 50 level 4 mechas. As long as you can walk the talk, we'll follow you from now on. Pfft. Our add latest chapters at freeobnovlo only. As soon as the words fell, Ling Xiao and others sprayed out their coffee. This guy really dares to ask for the moon. 14 million Yao Tian coins might buy 2 level 4 mechas at best, yet he wants 50 of them. Does he think level 4 mechas grow like cabbages? 14 million Yao Tian coins for 50 level 4 mechas. Du Feng's eyelids twitched as he looked at Wang Hao like he was looking at an idiot. The guy's appetite was way too big. You see, with this kind of attitude, you still expect to recruit us? Wang Hao shook his head in disappointment. Ling Xiao and others rolled their eyes. Not mentioning his own unreasonable demands, he actually had the nerve to complain about others. Does he have no shame at all? It's not that Du is unwilling to help, but your request is rather too much to ask. Du Feng calmed his own heart. 14 million Yao Tian coins could buy at most 2 level 4 mechas, and if sirs want too many, I think the military districts simply won't sell them. Of course, I know it's asking too much, but have you thought about it? If you want to recruit us, shouldn't you show some strength to convince people? Wang Hao said indifferently. This, Du Feng hesitated a bit. What the other had said was also right, who with real ability would choose to follow those without strength. At that moment, a man in black behind Du Feng whispered, Young Master Du, I heard that Yeqing took out a level 5 giant mecha from the military district, all because of this Wang Hao. Yeqing gave a level 5 giant mecha to Wang Hao. Du Feng looked shocked. Is Yeqing an idiot, and his father Ye Tianxiang too? giving such a strategic weapon to someone without a military district background. Young Master Du, it's not given to Wang Hao. To be precise, Wang Hao exchanged 40% of the shares of Langxing World Company for a level 5 giant mecha to play with the stipulation that as long as it doesn't leave Civilian Star, then it is fine to play. But as a result, Wang Hao couldn't drive it and it has been left in Yeqing's manor. The man in black hurriedly explained. When he first heard this information, he was completely stunned, truly doubting his own ears. Du Feng looked dumbfounded. What kind of people are these guys? One could have reached the pinnacle of power by clinging to a woman, yet he prefers to be a dashing romantic. One has a terrifying ability to make money, yet doesn't take money seriously at all. As for the others, not much is known about them, but judging by that beast-like introduction, they're probably not simple characters either. Could it be that my realm is not high enough? Have these people reached the stage where they regard money as dung and play the game of life? Du Feng murmured to himself, completely unable to figure out what makes the wolf gang such oddballs. Talking about being more generous than Yeqing, yet it turns out you're not even comparable to him. Wang Hao shook his head in disappointment. Not even comparable to Yeqing. Du Feng's face immediately darkened. How could this guy speak like this? He has been a favored son of heaven since he was young, how could he be compared to a scum like Yeqing? I want to ask you one thing, what do you want with 50 level 4 mechas? Du Feng asked. Even if he could manage to get 50 level 4 mechas, if something happened, that would be big trouble, so he must ask clearly. Nonsense, of course they're for setting up an exhibition show. Do you think I can pilot that many mechas? Wang Hao gave Du Feng a look of disdain. Your Excellency means, you just want to see if I can take out 50 level 4 mecha from the military district and maybe hold an exhibition. Du Feng was dumbfounded, he was now quite certain that this member of Wolf Gang had a very high level of consciousness. At least he couldn't achieve this attitude of treating money as if it were dirt. Wang Hao said impatiently, you're really long-winded. How about I write you a promissory note for 500 million Yaotian coins as collateral? Great. Du Feng nodded repeatedly. As long as your Excellency signs a promissory note for 500 million Yaotian coins, we guarantee to deliver 50 level 4 mecha within 2 days at most, and as long as your Excellency doesn't leave Civilian Star, you can do whatever you want with them. Afterward, Du Feng felt a mysterious sense of relief. As long as he had the promissory note for 500 million Yaotian coins in his hand, he wouldn't be afraid of any accidents. He didn't believe anyone in the Yaotian Federation would dare to owe him money and not pay it back. Good, then I'll wait for your Excellency's level 4 mecha. Wang Hao took out a piece of paper, scribbled a few lines, wrote down his full name, and affixed his thumbprint. Then Du won't disturb the gentleman any longer. Du Feng put away the note, bowed with his fists to the group, and then left with his subordinates. After Du Feng left, everyone couldn't hold back and burst into laughter. I can't take it, this Du Feng is even stupider than Yeqing. Xia Weiwei leaned on Li Xian, shaking with laughter. Li Xian shook her head with a smile. Du Feng isn't stupid, he just didn't realize that we're not from the Yaotian Federation, so he believed us as soon as he had the promissory note for 500 million Yaotian coins as collateral. The note isn't the key part. I bet he'd never dream that Big Boss's dimension space could fit all these mecha inside. Qian Wanyang looked at Wang Hao admiringly. Chen Yao couldn't help but laugh. Because of Military Star, those higher-ups think there's no difference between mecha on Civilian Star and Military Star. If something happens, they can arrive within minutes to take care of the trouble. It's normal for them to think this way. After all, to Military Star, Civilian Star is like its backyard. Who could stealthily take something from such a tightly guarded place? Ling Xiao glanced at Wang Hao and thought to himself, except for this freak who cheats regularly. By the way, Wang Hao, what do you need so many level 4 mecha for? Li Xian asked curiously. For the baby bunny, a childish voice piped up, as Little White sat on Wang Hao's shoulder, raising its little fluffy paw. For Little White. The group was astonished, their eyes falling on Wang Hao. Wang Hao nodded. Little White's spiritual power is very strong, driving these level 4 mecha won't be a problem at all. Buying 50 all at once, it can just smash them for fun whenever it wants. The group twitched at the thought, 50 level 4 mecha were actually for a rabbit to operate and smash for fun. This was just way too capricious. What made the group curious, however, was whether Little White's spiritual power was really that strong. Could it actually operate level 4 mecha? Looking at the curious expressions of the group, Wang Hao just smiled and didn't explain. Ever since Little White had learned the Saint Beast decision, its combat power had soared terribly, and even the dimension space had expanded a lot. Moreover, with that adorable and harmless appearance, it's really hard to imagine this little thing being so formidable. But because this little thing didn't look like it had any attack power, it could become one of his trump cards. At the same time, Wang Hao was also pondering how to place Little Spider on Zhao Yuling and have her carry it to Military Star. Chapter 215. The moonlight spilled like water over the earth at night. Zhao Yuling sat at home, resting her chin on her hands as she stared vacantly at the prison star and Military Star, her mind filled with the image of the roguish Li Xiaoxian. "Miss, someone has sent you a package." A woman in black handed Zhao Yuling a beautifully wrapped gift box. "Who sent it to me?" Curious, Zhao Yuling opened the gift box, but she froze the next second. Inside the box was a white rabbit wearing a black tuxedo, a magician's hat, and holding a tiny cane, but most unbelievably, it walked on 2 legs. "Isn't that the rogue rabbit? I think its name is Little White." The woman in black's eyes sparkled with hearts. She had been quite impressed by this rogue rabbit at the previous party, guessing many women would want such a pet rabbit. Little White hopped out of the gift box, removed its hat, and performed a nobleman's courtesy, politely asking, "Beautiful lady, are you free tonight? Might I have the honor of your company to admire the moon?" Giggle, "Did he send you?" Zhao Yuling laughed heartily, amused by the adorable creature. Li Xiaoxian sent me here." Little White nodded repeatedly, then said solemnly, "The world has its beauties, who live secluded in valleys. No, not that one. The beauty's drunk." Her cheeks flushed. "That's not right either. It's the Yang family's young daughter has just come of age, hidden away from the world, or maybe not that one either." Zhao Yuling watched Little White scratching its head helplessly, and her expression quickly turned cold. These poems clearly weren't describing her, they must be about the vixens that Li Xiaoxian had wooed before. It also indicated that using a rabbit to convey feelings wasn't a new tactic for this scoundrel. "Right, I just remembered, there's no poem this time," Little White excitedly exclaimed. "No poem?" Zhao Yuling's face turned utterly dark. Did that mean she wasn't even worth those other women? "Miss, calm down, I'll immediately go and grab Li Xiaoxian," the woman in black hurriedly advised. At that moment, Little White pulled several thumbnail-sized robots from its magic hat, each holding an instrument. It was practically a deluxe band. Where did it get these robots from? Zhao Yuling and the woman in black were stunned. So many robots came out of a magic hat? As Little White grabbed the microphone, the sound of singing softly began. "You ask how much I love you, to what extent my love reaches, my feelings are true, my love is sincere, the moon represents my heart." Zhao Yuling's face instantly flushed. Li Xiaoxian was truly a woman's nemesis, not only using the rabbit to recite poetry but also having it sing. Such a bizarre idea could only come from him. The woman in black felt goosebumps drop all around, thinking how overly straightforward the lyrics were. Meanwhile, the woman in black looked at Zhao Yuling anxiously, wondering if she, who had never been in love, could fend off this charmer's techniques. After Little White finished the song, it wiped the sweat from its forehead and said, "This performance didn't go by the usual script and was quite tiring. Thankfully, it's said to be the last time. If there is another time, I really couldn't handle it." Hearing this, Zhao Yuling's head shyly dipped, the raging anger she felt earlier had vanished in an instant. The woman in black looked at the bashful Zhao Yuling and didn't know what to say. From Little White's words, it was clear that Li Xiaoxian planned to retire his tricks, altering his routine and stating this would be the last time. But could the words of such a playboy really be trusted? But it seemed like whatever she said now was useless. The lady of their house had already fallen. "Hey, beautiful, I've been singing for such a long time, can I get a carrot?" Little White blinked and looked at Zhao Yuling. Zhao Yuling covered her mouth and laughed. She realized she had fallen in love with this quirky rabbit. "I'll go get one." The woman in black respectfully withdrew. After she left, Little White hopped onto Zhao Yuling's shoulder. Taking advantage of Zhao Yuling still being immersed in the ocean of love, it placed a little spider in Zhao Yuling's hair, invisible from the outside. "Little thing, tell me, how many women does Li Xiaoxian have outside?" Zhao Yuling asked softly. That's a tough question." Little White furrowed its brow, thinking hard and didn't speak. "That damn rogue." Zhao Yuling puffed her cheeks angrily, swearing in her heart that if Li Xiaoxian dared to play with her feelings and abandon her, she would definitely chop him into pieces. Miss, here's the carrot. The woman in black came in carrying a plate of carrots. Carrot. Little White's eyes sparkled with golden light as it went up to clutch the carrots and started nibbling, but it immediately spat it out. Tui, it tastes awful. Little White, with a face full of disgust, threw the carrot to the floor. This carrot was nowhere near the quality of the carrots it usually ate. You see, the carrots Little White ate were bought by Wang Hao from the system, costing 100 villain points each. Eating them not only helped its cultivation but also enhanced Little White's intelligence. Otherwise, how could a rabbit sing, dance, and be more skilled than a teenage boy? Tastes awful. The woman in black was startled, picked up the carrot and took a bite. It wasn't bad at all. I'm not eating this, I'd better go home. Disappointed, Little White packed a robot back into the magic hat. Little guy, are you leaving just like that? Zhao Yuling looked at Little White reluctantly. This little creature was not only cute but also quirky and likable. What's there to do here? There's nothing to eat, am I supposed to starve to death? Little White rolled its eyes and then climbed back into the gift box. Can you stay until tomorrow? Didn't you say you wanted to go moon gazing with me? How about we enjoy it with flowers under the moonlight? Zhao Yuling pleaded with Little White, wanting to snuggle with the fluffy rabbit tonight. Little White looked at Zhao Yuling warily. Moonlight is fine, but forget about spending money. I won't be fooled by you into spending money on cosmetics or pretty clothes or anything like that. Zhao Yuling was stunned, staying motionless on the spot. This rabbit's thoughts were quite unusual. She thought of flowers under the moonlight as spending money under the moonlight, but it was truly too adorable. Little White called out to the woman in black, later, send me home, I need to sleep for a while, yawn. After saying that, it closed the lid of the gift box and started snoring loudly. The woman in black rolled her eyes. Indeed, it was just like a rabbit raised by Li Xiaoxian with its personality identical to his, not only flirting with girls but also acting roguishly. No wonder it was nicknamed Rogue Rabbit. After the woman in black left with the gift box, Zhao Yuling was still submerged in the sweet ocean. If previously she needed to check how strong Li Xiaoxuan's martial arts talent was to accept him, after Guo Yunzi said that Li Xiaoxian just needed calmness to cultivate and would understand unity of heaven and man by the age of 20, she stopped considering that issue. He was the man of letters and martial talents in her heart. If only she could cure him of his philandering ways, then he would be perfect. And Zhao Yuling didn't notice that the little spider had transformed into an invisible little robot spread across her hair. Chapter 216. Langxing World Company. Outside were a group of enraged men, all fanatic fans of the hostess girls. They came here to seek justice for their goddesses but were all stopped outside by Yeqing's men. Meanwhile, Wang Hao and his companions were all sitting in the hall, waiting for the group of great literati to arrive. Junior brother, you've made such a big fuss, and now you are planning to film these great literati. Could this attract the attention of the relevant departments? Ling Xiao glanced at the angry men outside and couldn't help but shake his head. What an ignorant bunch, actually treating hostess girls as goddesses in their hearts. Who knows? Wang Hao was indifferent. All he needed to do was get those shots, then broadcast them, and tarnish the great literati's lifelong reputation. As for any trouble that might arise, it was none of his concern. If all else failed, he'd simply slit his throat, activate the resurrection golden coin, and then take down anyone in his way, be they gods or Buddhas. Li Xian looked at Little White gnawing on a carrot perched on Wang Hao's shoulder and asked, Little White, did you place Little Spider on Zhao Yuling? Little White nodded its tiny head and said unclearly, last night, this precious bunny personally placed Little Spider in Zhao Yuling's hair. Moreover, she was so enchanted by this precious bunny that she didn't notice a thing. Wang Hao gave Little White a contemptuous look. This rabbit was truly shameless. Who exactly was charmed out of their wits? Do you have any sense at all? Now all we can do is wait, sighed Ling Xiao, praying that Zhao Yuling would hurry to military star. The commotion Wang Hao was stirring up was growing larger. If someone started investigating their identities, their cover would be blown before long, and then they'd really be in trouble. Where's that punk Wang Hao? Come out at once, old man here will teach you a lesson on how to behave today. Bastard, daring to send those kinds of videos to me, today you and I are not done. Hearing this, Ling Xiao and the others smiled wryly. They were completely convinced by Wang Hao, who had sent inappropriate videos to the great literati, angering them to no end. Now, 18 great literati had actually shown up all at once. This was going to blow up. Wang Hao got up and gave the group of great literati a bow. Gentlemen, did you like the collector's edition from Langsing World? Ling Xiao and the others held their heads, feeling a headache brewing. This guy really knew how to poke where it hurts. Sure enough, the literati were seething with uncontrollable rage. The nerve of this kid to insult us so! I will definitely banish you, making it impossible for you to take a step in the Yao Tian Federation. Look at what you've done to the twin stars, it's a total mess. Today I will bully the younger to teach you which onion you are. I wanted to go easy on you today, but since you're so ungrateful, I won't hold back anymore. Wang Hao waved his hand dismissively. A bunch of old guys about to hit the coffin, just stop bragging and draw your lines. Let's have a contest. The great literati were fuming, the blood rushing to their heads. The kid dared to disrespect them so openly, how could they tolerate this? I am Sudong, styled Wen-Iun, known as Old Man Qing Chuan, said one of the elders as he bowed. Although they spoke of teaching Wang Hao a lesson, after seeing the calligraphy and poetry at Guo Yun's place, they knew it wouldn't be easy. They had to be fully alert. I am Li Li, styled Zhongfeng, known as the Zhongfeng Recluse. I, Shen Xiang, my style name Zi Zhong, alternatively known as Dream Cloud Hermit. As the great literary giants introduced themselves one by one, Ling Xiao and the others tensed up on the spot. In the literary world, revealing both your style name and alternative name typically meant you're either acquaintances or life and death rivals. However, given the current situation, Wang Hao and these giants obviously weren't close friends, which left only the possibility of life and death enemies. This was going to be a fight to the finish. After all the literary giants had introduced themselves, Wang Hao smirked, thinking they were making fun of him for not having a style or alternative name. After a moment of thought, Wang Hao bowed with his hands clasped and said, as for myself, my surname is Wang, my given name is Hao, my style name Wai Chong, and my alias post-90s fresh meat. Pfft! As soon as he finished speaking, everyone in the venue burst out laughing. Damn, someone actually used Wai Chong as their style name, and what the heck is post-90s fresh meat? Why couldn't they understand it? Kid, I don't have time for your nonsense. Hurry up and tell us, which of the four arts do you want to compete in first, the elder called Sudong said with impatience. Wang Hao gave these literary giants a disdainful look. Don't you know about fasting, bathing, burning incense, and changing clothes before the contest? Fasting, bathing, burning incense, and changing clothes. All the giants were stunned. What did that mean? Wang Hao shook his head and said, don't you think that before a competition, it's appropriate to take a bath, scent our clothes with sandalwood, have a vegetarian meal, and then leave the bustling city for a beautiful, scenic spot to have a literary showdown? Doesn't this setting have a sense of style? The literary giants thought about it, and indeed, the picture of sitting among the mountains, befriending mountains and entertaining birds did seem quite artistic. Everyone, I have already prepared the hot springs, clothes, sandalwood and vegetarian meal, please. Wang Hao snapped his fingers, and a group of maids in ancient attire walked over. Greetings to all the sires. The maids bowed slightly at the knee. Seeing this, the great literary giants began to discuss quietly among themselves. What do we do now? Compete first, or perform the fasting, bathing, burning incense, and changing clothes? I think the kid has a point. A contest without distractions is best. I think he makes sense too. A bath can make one feel relaxed and cheerful, which would be beneficial for the competition. Why talk so much? How long could a bath and a meal possibly delay us? That's true. We are the guests today, so let's just go along with our host. I suddenly feel this kid isn't too bad. I also think the kid isn't too bad, just a bit too arrogant. That's not strange, teenagers all have the same issue. Never mind, we'll see how this kid performs later. If he doesn't cut it, I will still be looking to ban him. Don't rush to ban him just yet, let's see if he can be educated. If he can be brought around, our literary world will have a successor. Yes, that makes sense. Let's first see if there's any hope for him. Ling Xiao and the others rolled their eyes on the side. They could very responsibly tell these literary giants that there was no hope for Wang Hao, and that they would probably want to kill him later. For they knew that once the giants relaxed in the hot springs, the heavenly burial potion would be poured in, poisoning them. After that, a dozen hostesses with an enhanced version of an exciting potion would be brought into force upon them. At the same time, Dozens of hidden cameras had been set up around the hot springs, ready to document everything and capture the unfolding drama. Chapter 217. The mist surged, and the hot spring water boiled. A group of great scholars comfortably lay in the hot spring, feeling relaxed and joyful. You guys really shouldn't say, this fasting and bathing idea from Wang Hao, with the incense burning and changing clothes, is truly wonderful, praised an elderly scholar. It really is good, relaxing before a duel is indeed splendid, the other scholars nodded in agreement. What's happening? Why can't I muster any strength in my body? An elderly scholar tried to stand up, but his legs just wouldn't cooperate. Haha, old fellow faints from soaking in a hot spring, have you been skipping exercise lately? The other scholars laughed heartily at him. At that moment, a dozen young women wearing revealing clothing walked in, each carrying a tray with several bottles of potion on it. The scholars, seeing this, shouted indignantly, "Who let you in? Get out!" The dozen women were startled but did not retreat, they were all tempted by the task Wang Hao had entrusted to them. These scholars were once powerful figures, if the women could hit the jackpot and conceive a child, it would be an instant elevation in status. As for whether these old men could still perform, that would have to be tested. If indeed they hit the jackpot, and if these scholars refused to acknowledge the children, the potent genes were still there. If the women could raise the children, their remaining lives would still be blissful. Thus, when Wang Hao issued the notice, these hostesses exerted all their efforts and stood out to undertake this honorable and sacred task. Sisters, for the sake of our future, let's give it our all, a woman boldly advanced towards the scholars. Shameless! The scholars glared angrily at these women, although society needed them for stability, such humiliation was intolerable. However, when the scholars tried to stand up, they all realized they were devoid of strength. What's going on? The scholars began to panic, finding no matter how they moved, their bodies were completely devoid of strength. Even their true chi seemed unresponsive, unable to be summoned at all. "This is the heavenly burial potion," exclaimed one scholar. "We've been drugged with heavenly burial potion, how is this possible? How could heavenly burial potion appear here? It must be that potion master here, we don't know how we have offended you, please show yourself." "Elder, this kind of joke is not funny, please show yourself, let's talk this over properly." As the hostesses approached closer, the scholars grew increasingly terrified, like little lambs faced with a big bad wolf. They had no choice but to be scared, they had lived disciplined lives, everything they did was out of a clear conscience and righteousness. People respected them for such character, but any scandal could destroy the reputations they had established over a lifetime. Moreover, having one foot in the grave already, they might not have cared much for their lives, but their reputation was all they cared about now, and in this situation, how could they not be frightened? However, the scholars' cries for help were useless, the hostesses arrived as expected and gently administered an enhanced version of passion. Soon, sounds inappropriate for children began to rise from the hot spring. At this moment, Wang Hao and others were sitting in the hall, drinking coffee and chatting. Just then, Yeqing rushed in excitedly, "Mr. Wang, it's so great that you're here. I've realized it, I've realized it." Realized? Everyone's gaze fell on Wang Hao. Wasn't he deceiving Yeqing? Now that Yeqing had realized it, what was this madness? Wang Hao also looked at Yeqing with surprise. He had merely said it casually, it couldn't be that Yeqing had actually realized the creepy smile, could it? "Mr. Wang, watch closely," Yeqing said earnestly, then his lips slightly curled up, forming a smile that was the epitome of sleaziness. Hiss! Everyone present took a sharp breath, goosebumps all over their bodies. This smile was just too sleazy. "How about that? Did it scare you?" Yeqing asked proudly. Everyone nodded repeatedly. Although this smile was worlds apart from Wang Hao's creepy smile, it indeed did scare them. No, it disgusted them. Wang Hao shook his head. He thought Yeqing had realized something profound, but he had only learned a sleazy smile from those prisoners. If just anyone could understand the creepy smile, then what would he need the system for? "Congratulations, young Master Yat," on initially grasping the essence of the creepy smile. Ling Xiao approached somewhat awkwardly to congratulate him. "Congratulations, young Master Yat. It took our leader 3 years to grasp it, yet you've achieved such progress in less than 3 days. In the future, you'll be the one to uphold the banner of our wolf realm." Qian Wanyang also stepped forward to congratulate. "That's right, young Master Ye is a one-in-a-million genius of our wolf realm, said Chen Yao. Oh, you flatter me too much. Ye Qing said with a face full of pride, already imagining the scene of him sweeping across the world with just a smile once he fully mastered the creepy smile. By the way, Mr. Wang, where are those grand scholars? Ye Qing suddenly asked. Wang Hao shrugged his shoulders, I've already sent someone to photograph them. What? Ye Qing exclaimed. Without his permission, how could Wang Hao do such a thing, pushing him into a pit of fire? Young Master Ye, don't be so agitated, Wang Hao waved his hand. This time, 18 grand scholars have come. If you hold their weaknesses, you know what that means, don't you? Ye Qing squinted at Wang Hao. Although he liked causing trouble, he wasn't foolish, he knew what he could and couldn't touch. Creating such a big issue now meant that if anything went wrong, it would spell disaster for his family. Thus, even though the benefits of this situation were numerous, he could only think about it and dared not touch it. But now, Wang Hao had gone ahead without his consent, giving him a sense of nurturing a threat. Ye Qing remained silent, making the atmosphere tense in an instant. Ling Xiao and others tensed up, ready to break out at any moment. After a moment, a flash of insight crossed Ye Qing's eyes, and he asked softly, Mr. Wang, who really are you? What are you trying to do? In that instant, Ye Qing understood many things: how Wang Hao had lured him out using brother Huang, led him to make money, have fun, and gradually trust this group of people, leading to the current uncontrollable situation. As soon as he had spoken, Ling Xiao and the others looked at Ye Qing in surprise. This guy didn't seem as wasteful as they had imagined. But it made sense after all, he was the Grand General's son. Even if he was a scoundrel, that didn't mean he was a fool. Chapter 218. Wang Hao chuckled, Young Master Ye, it doesn't matter who we are, what matters is, do you have any other choice but to cooperate with us now? You? Ye Qing was furious. He had always had everything go his way, but today, he was being threatened. Shush! Upon hearing this, Ling Xiao and the others immediately stood up, vigilantly watching Ye Qing. Who are you really? Getting close to me, what do you want? Ye Qing asked with a cold face. Wang Hao leisurely poured himself a cup of coffee and said with a smile, since young Master Ye asked, I might as well tell you. Someone offered a high price to buy the brain-sensing remote control device of the Yaotian Federation, so I came to try my luck. Brain-sensing remote control device. Ye Qing's pupils sharply narrowed, and he immediately became guarded. You're from the Interstellar Federation. Wang Hao smiled slightly but did not answer. Ling Xiao and the others also looked at Wang Hao with surprise. They truly did not expect that Wang Hao was actually targeting the brain-sensing remote control device. You see, in the interstellar war more than a decade ago, the Interstellar Federation was at a disadvantage and was about to be defeated by the Yaotian Federation exactly because the latter had the brain-sensing remote control device. This was a device installed on mecha, which, after installation, eliminated the need for a pilot inside the mecha. Instead, it could be controlled remotely from the outside, somewhat like a drone. Therefore, when the mecha warriors of both sides met on the battlefield, those manned mecha were at a disadvantage because once the remotely controlled mecha sensed they were failing, they would immediately trigger a self-destruct system. This caused the Interstellar Federation not only to lose a large number of mecha but also many mecha warriors. In contrast, the Yaotian Federation, besides losing mecha, didn't lose any mecha warriors. How could they continue to fight under these circumstances? If it weren't for Wang Tianyi and Liu and Guang, who infiltrated the headquarters of these mecha warriors and performed a beheading operation, the Interstellar Federation would have had to activate Martial Saint, a massive killer device, to escalate the battle drastically. If that happened, the war probably still wouldn't have ended. The brain-sensing remote device can't possibly be given to you. Ye Qing shook his head in refusal. Young Master Ye, don't speak so absolutely, Wang Hao waved his hand, think about it carefully. If I can threaten those great scholars to hand over the brain-sensing device, it means that they would compromise for their reputations. Then, wouldn't it be whatever you wish? Even if the great scholars don't compromise, you can just say you were deceived by me, so you wouldn't lose anything, would you? This, Ye Qing hesitated, Wang Hao's words made sense. If successful, whether it was for his family's benefits or for his own desires, the advantages were many. And even if it failed, he could completely deny involvement, at most getting a reprimand. It seemed like really no big loss. But what troubled Ye Qing was that once Wang Hao got his hands on the brain-sensing remote control device, it would mean that the Yaotian Federation and the Interstellar Federation were back to being equals, the technological advantage completely lost. Young Master Yet, life is short. Do you intend to become a hero of the era or just an obscure rogue hero? Wang Hao looked at Yeqing with a smile. Ling Xiao and the others rolled their eyes. What was truly terrifying about Wang Hao was not his unmatched talent, but his mouth. If Yeqing reported Wang Hao, aside from some rewards, there probably wouldn't be any other outcome, and he would continue his rogue life as usual. And even if Yeqing trained hard, at best, he could only reach his father's position. In the Yaotian Federation, there were at least hundreds of grand generals, so how could he make a name in history? But if he didn't report Wang Hao and chose to collude with him, then he really had a chance to make a name through these great scholars' networks and become a generation's hero. Although the reputation of being a hero might not sound nice, it would also be remembered forever, wouldn't it? Yeqing took a deep breath and extended his hand to Wang Hao, then here's to a pleasant cooperation. To Yeqing, even if the Interstellar Federation acquired the brain-sensing remote control device, they would just be on an equal footing with the Yaotian Federation, and neither could defeat the other. In that case, he really didn't need to worry about national ruin or family destruction and could do as he pleased. Young Master Ye is indeed a smart person. Wang Hao reached out and shook hands with Yeqing. Ling Xiao and the others were impressed by Wang Hao. No wonder Wang Hao chose Yeqing, even if this guy wasn't an idiot, he was a simpleton, easily bamboozled by Wang Hao in just a few words. Just then, a roar came, Wang Hao, you bastard, get out. Yeqing's eyelids twitched, and his legs went weak. He didn't need to guess that those great scholars had arrived. Young Master Yet, you should go home, Wang Hao nodded, indicating that he would handle the rest. Mr. Wang, I appreciate your effort. If it's not successful, as long as you don't disclose my name, I'll definitely find a way to help you leave Twin Stars, Yeqing patted his chest and promised. Hearing this, Ling Xiao and the others disdainfully curled their lips. If they really got caught, to avoid implicating himself, the first one to strike at them would be Yeqing. So these deceitful words, they just listened, believing them would be undoubtedly fatal. After Yeqing left, a large group of great scholars furiously stormed in, but Wang Hao remained calm and composed. How are you, gentlemen? Fasting, bathing, burning incense, changing clothes comfortable. Wang Hao mocked. As soon as the words fell, the great scholars were so angry their hair stood on end. Their lifetime reputation was ruined in the hands of this scoundrel. How could they not be furious? Boy, I tell you, if you dare leak this matter, I will definitely make sure you have no place to be buried. One of the great scholars glared fiercely, absolutely unwilling to enter his coffin tainted with infamy in his later years. Exactly, if you dare speak it, we guarantee you'll regret coming to this world. Threatening this scoundrel is useless, just get someone to silence him. Good point. I don't kill innocent people, but this kid is rotten to the marrow and must be killed, otherwise, a few years later, and there will be another demon. Today, I will eliminate this menace for the people, kill this scoundrel. As the great scholars discussed wiping out the entire Langsing World Company, Wang Hao leisurely played a video clip which was not suitable for children. Now, the great scholars panicked. A lifetime of persistence, of building reputation, was it truly going to collapse at this last moment? However, soon enough, these great scholars calmed down, knowing that since Wang Hao calculated them so thoroughly, he would definitely not easily release the video. Chapter 219. Kid, what are you trying to do? A great light Ratus asked with a stern face. Wang Hao slightly squinted as he sized up these great literati, worthy of being former administrators of the Yaotian Federation. They had regained their composure so quickly. It seemed getting the brain-sensing remote device would be challenging. I'm not trying to do anything, it's all just for fun, Wang Hao spread his hands innocently. Fun. The faces of the great literati darkened, filming their scandalous video just for fun, surely they weren't just fooling around? Kid, I'm afraid you can't handle your own game. One light Ratus glared at Wang Hao with a fierce look in his eyes. Whether I can handle it or not is a matter for later. Right now you should be thinking about whether or not you want to continue playing with me, Wang Hao said, his lips slightly curling in a confident demeanor. This. The literati furrowed their brows. Had it been their younger days, they wouldn't have thought twice about crushing Wang Hao because they did not succumb to threats. But as they grew older, the fiery passion of their youth had been worn away, now they simply wanted to play chess with a few old friends, paint, or play with their newly born descendants and enjoy their twilight years. Of course, enjoying their twilight years was predicated on the idea that their lives were free of any scandals. But now, with scandalous videos, this was clearly not what they wished to see. Why argue with this kid? Just send a message to Zhao Kun and have the network of the twin stars completely blocked, then force him to hand over the video, a light Ratus suggested angrily. Exactly. A junior threatening us? He's asking for his own end. The rest of the literati nodded in agreement. Even if they were in their twilight years, their status remained, and being threatened by a youngster would be disgraceful if word got out. Upon hearing this, Ling Xiao and others instantly tensed up and had even notified Ling Ling to be ready to bring the Black Dragon spaceship over at any moment. Since you gentlemen have decided not to play, it seems the prize won't be handed out either. Wang Hao sighed and took out a milky white potion. What is this potion? One light Ratus couldn't help but ask out of curiosity. This potion is called Little Life Potion. Especially for elderly men like you. Drinking it will immediately add 10 years to your lifespan. Wang Hao glanced at the literati, noticing their eyes widening. No matter how heroic or upright they had been, no matter how fearless of death they had been. But in the face of death, they all feared the same. After all, who wouldn't want to live if they could? This. Young man, is this Little Life Potion real or fake? One great light Ratus coughed and asked. Wang Hao's lips curled slightly, handing over the Little Life Potion to the light Ratus. Real or fake, why don't you have a taste and find out? The light Ratus hesitated for a moment, then downed the Little Life Potion in one gulp. After all, he only had a few years left, so he might as well take a chance. After the light Ratus drank the Little Life Potion, the wrinkles on his face noticeably reduced, and he seemed to look more than 10 years younger. Wow! In an instant, all the literati were abuzz. 10 years of lifespan might not mean much to others, but for them, it was indeed like a long-awaited rain. If they had 10 more years of lifespan, then they could attempt to make a breakthrough. If successful, it would mean an even longer life. Thinking of this, their gaze towards Wang Hao transformed from anger to obsequiousness. Young man, you wanted to play a game? Why be so naughty filming scandalous videos? That's right. Just hand over those videos, and we will surely join you in a good game. I always loved playing with young people, it makes me feel a lot younger. That's right, we are all youthful at heart. Ling Xiao and the others shook their heads, bowing before death, which was not only the choice of ordinary people but even these upright literary giants couldn't escape the convention. There's no way you're getting that indecent video unless you let me have some fun first. Not only will you not get the lifespan potion, but I'll also release the video. Wang Hao glanced at the literary giants, offering no face. This. The literary giants exchanged glances, all understanding each other's thoughts. They had no choice but to hand over the video. Letting their lifetime reputations rest in the hands of a stranger was absolutely impossible, even if this young man possessed the lifespan potion they desperately needed. Wang Hao looked around and immediately knew what these old men were thinking. He thought to himself that these old men were much harder to deal with than Ye Qing. Even if he brought out the lifespan potion, they wouldn't budge, which was really troublesome. Gentlemen, then I'll speak frankly, Wang Hao said to the literary giants, I have a bad habit, I must play with something no matter what. Stop the nonsense, hurry and say what you want to play with. A literary giant implored impatiently. Exactly, just tell us what you want to play with. With several of us here, you can play whatever you want, as long as you hand over the video first. Not just the video, but also the lifespan potion. Yes, just hand over the lifespan potion, and we will forgive and forget. Since all of you have spoken, then I'll cut to the chase. I want to play with a mecha, and it has to come with brain-sensing remote control, Wang Hao declared. As soon as the words fell, the entire place fell deadly silent. The literary giants tensed up, with faint ripples of energy around them, clearly ready to release their true chi and capture Wang Hao and the others in one fell swoop. Ling Xiao and the others felt their hearts jump to their throats, sweat appearing on their foreheads. If these old men really acted recklessly now, they wouldn't even have a chance to run. Why the agitation? Wang Hao waved his hand, I play, but I know the rules. I promise to play only on Civilian Star, wouldn't that be all right? Hearing this, the literary giants frowned. What do you all think? This kid clearly isn't up to any good. Catch him first and see who he really is. I don't think it's a good idea. He already said he'd only play on Civilian Star, we have no reason to refuse. On civilian star, it's basically no different from on military star. Who dares to cause trouble here? What do you mean by that? Are you not afraid that he might be from the Interstellar Federation? What is there to fear? Do you think military star is just for show? Well, you're right. With military star on guard nearby, even if martial saints came, they couldn't turn the tide. That's true, military star watches not only prison star but also civilian star. This kid has no escape. We can also install a tracking device inside the mecha he uses, to see where he could possibly run. Make sure to seal the mecha. If anyone tampers with the shell, it immediately explodes. This way, even if he is an Interstellar Federation spy, he can only stare helplessly at the mecha. Lend him the mecha for 3 days at most, no longer. Yes, better safe than sorry, we must set a time limit. To play with a mecha in exchange for 50 years of lifespan, that's not a bad deal. Chapter 220. Langxing World Company. Ling Xiao and the others gave Wang Hao a thumbs up. After some bargaining, the great literati finally agreed to let Wang Hao play with a mecha equipped with a brain-sensing remote device for 3 days. However, they were seriously reminded that if the mecha disappeared or was taken away from civilian star, military star would immediately seal off civilian star and then come to arrest them. In return, Wang Hao gave the great literati a video and a small life potion, and he swore that he had no copies, but given Wang Hao's reputation. Junior brother, you've asked for so many mechas, but can your dimension space really fit them all? Ling Xiao asked worriedly, not just wanting the good stuff but also having the ability to take them away. Don't worry. Wang Hao waved his hand, my dimension space is very big, all these are small matters. Besides, our little white's dimension space is also very big. Sitting on Wang Hao's shoulder, little white nodded repeatedly, his little paws gesturing, this baby bunny is awesome. My dimension space can fit dozens of level 5 giant mechas. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone in the room felt an inexplicable pain in their chests, they couldn't believe that they were even inferior to a bunny. Especially Li Xian, Xia Weiwei, Jian Wanyang, and Chen Yao. They had all taken the dimension potion and acquired dimension spaces. But, the volume of their dimension spaces were only a few cubic meters, not even 1/10,000th the size of little whites, which made them feel like doubting life and wanting to reincarnate as bunnies. At that moment, the system voice suddenly announced, System alert, Little Spider has successfully logged onto Military Star and begun invading the military district's systems. Wang Hao suddenly stood up, excitedly saying, Zhao Yuling went to Military Star, and Little Spider has also logged in. Everyone's spirits were lifted. Now everything was ready except for the opportunity. By the way, how is Bai Bian's teleportation tower installation progressing? Wang Hao asked. Li Xian said, I heard from Shuekyunqin that Bai Bian might be done in another 2 days. 2 days feels a bit long. I hope nothing goes wrong, Wang Hao frowned, I always feel like something big is about to happen. Something big about to happen. Everyone looked at Wang Hao puzzledly. Military Star, Marshal's office. Marshal Zhao Kun looked at Zhao Yuling standing in front of him with a smile, come, let Grandpa take a good look at you. My Yuling has grown into a big girl. Zhao Yuling acted coquettishly, I'm not a big girl, I've always been a little girl. Haha, the little girl is afraid of growing up, Zhao Kun laughed out loud. Don't make fun of your granddaughter. Zhao Yuling puffed her cheeks and glared at Zhao Kun, then handed over a photo of Li Xiaoxian for him to see. Is this that Li Xiaoxian? Zhao Kun looked at the photo and nodded satisfied. The person was handsome indeed, just a bit of a playboy, but that was no big deal. Once inside the Zhao family, he must say goodbye to his old lifestyle. Elder Guo said that if he focuses on cultivation, he could achieve unity of heaven and man by the age of 20 at most. Zhao Yuling looked very proud. Such a man with dual talents in literature and martial arts was not easy to come by. When you meet one, you must hold on tight. Oh, did old man Guo really say that? Zhao Kun's eyes gleamed. Could it be that heaven has foreseen their family's generations of military service, and this time they are destined to produce a great literary figure? Report. A soldier stood outside the door. What is it? Zhao Kun's expression was somewhat displeased. Did these guys have no tact? Didn't they know Zhao Yuling had rarely come home? Didn't they know an old man needed to enjoy his family time? The soldier ignored Zhao Kun's frown and handed him a document. These old guys actually want a mecha equipped with a brain-sensing remote device, and they want me to watch a young man named Wang Hao. What are they up to? Zhao Kun furrowed his brows, puzzled by what these academics intended to do. But as Zhao Kun flipped through the document to Wang Hao's photo, his pupils sharply constricted. He would never forget that face in his lifetime, the young man who had shone brilliantly during the Interstellar War decades ago, the Interstellar Federation's Marshal Wang Tianyi. How could it be him? Zhao Kun exclaimed. But upon a closer look, it wasn't Wang Tianyi, though the facial structure was at least 80% similar. Grandfather knows him. Zhao Yuling glanced curiously. She had seen this man at that night's banquet, hanging out with Li Zioxuan's group. Do you remember grandfather telling you about the Interstellar Federation's #1 genius, Wang Tianyi? Zhao Kun's face grew serious. This man looked so much like Wang Tianyi, and they both shared the surname Wang. Could there be any connection? You're saying this man is related to Wang Tianyi? Zhao Yuling covered her mouth, laughing. Grandpa, don't joke around, this guy is rotten to the core. How could he possibly be related to Wang Tianyi? Rotten to the core? Zhao Kun looked at Zhao Yuling skeptically. Zhao Yuling nodded. This man and Yeqing have teamed up, they've made quite a few hostesses famous, and then made those hostesses film indecent videos to sell. I heard they made a lot of money, but it also caused widespread public outrage. Nowadays, there are lots of crazy fans causing trouble at Langxing World Company every day. It looks like he really has no relation to Wang Tianyi. Zhao Kun's eyebrows remained knitted. He instructed the soldier, I don't care how bad this person is, go and investigate immediately. I want all the information on this man. Yes. The soldier saluted and turned to leave. Prison Star was full of chaos everywhere. In a cave, a heavily bearded man was sleeping. Suddenly, a little spider crawled to the man's ear, and a voice followed, Are you Chu Lei? I'm here to rescue you. The bearded man's eyes snapped open, and he scrambled up from the ground, beginning to look around. I'm right here, the little spider in front of you. The bearded man looked down, and when he found the little spider, his voice trembled, I am Chu Lei, who are you? How are you going to rescue me? During his imprisonment, Chu Lei had endured the most painful time of his life. He had gone from being the young master of Skyfire Company to a lowly prisoner, a vast difference that made him feel like a walking corpse. If not for his unwavering belief that someone would rescue him, he would have broken down long ago. Now, hearing that someone was here to rescue him, how could he not be excited? Once the little spider confirmed the heavily bearded man was Chu Lei, a black light flashed, and a teleportation bracelet appeared out of thin air. This is a teleportation bracelet. The teleportation tower is under construction and will be finished soon. The systems on Military Star will also be taken down in a couple of days. You just need to quietly wait. Chu Lei hurriedly pocketed the teleportation bracelet, looking around to check for others. This was his only chance to escape, he could not let the news leak out. After confirming that no one had noticed, Chu Lei began examining the little spider. He was the young master of Skyfire Company and had seen all kinds of high-tech products, but he had never seen this small device before. Its technology was far beyond his comprehension, leaving him greatly intrigued.